At this time, DuPont deeply agreed with Chen Mo's initiative to test and search the priests' organization to eliminate internal hidden dangers. As a result of the members of Brandt's resistance organization, the most powerful force of the church, the Lord Priest, has become less reliable. At that time, relying on the strongest backing of priests, the hidden dangers in the government and the army can be eliminated one by one. Of course, DuPont believed that even if the resistance organizations had developed manpower in the church, the government and the army, the number would never be too large, and Brandt would probably be the only one among the clergy. After all, the church's various tests and monitoring were very strict, and the attack on the emotional crime was even more powerful. The clergy organizations were more strict, and it would be very difficult to have Brandt as an emotional offender. It's easy. No matter how powerful the resistance organization is, it is impossible to develop too many people in the church, the government and the army under the high-pressure rule and strict supervision of the church. So DuPont is more worried about the damage and loss of the resistance organization to Libya and the church through these insiders, just like Brent framed ELO Pater. He admits that he despised the resistance organization, but he is not worried about being overthrown by them. In the face of the powerful church, the resistance organization has only upgraded from a mob without threat to a dangerous element that may cause greater damage, but that is all. In any case, since we have found the threat of resistance, we must take action as soon as possible to eliminate the threat and minimize the damage. At that time, Chen Mo directly ordered the emotional tests on Brent, Chen Mo, John Peston, and ELO Pater on the spot, and at the same time sent soldiers to thoroughly search the houses of 3 other people, besides ELO Pater who had just been searched. All the priests' houses are located in the center of Libyan city, not far from the church building, so at the same time of emotional tests conducted by several people, several search teams have arrived at several people's houses and started a detailed search. Brent was not accidentally detected by the emotion detector. Chen and Mo were all normal and passed the test successfully. DuPont, who witnessed the whole test, was not surprised by the result. If even the senior priests had emotional crimes, their church would have been doomed. How could they have ruled Libya for so many years? But although he firmly believed that there would not be more priests betraying the church, DuPont was inevitably a little nervous after Brent was found out that he really had feelings. Until the 3 passed the test, he was relieved. After the monitoring of the 4 people, the search of their residence on the other side was over. DuPont listened to the report of the following people and looked at Brent again. His eyes were full of cold, killing intent. Chen and Mo naturally have no problems, but Brent's home has found a large number of contraband, and even some confidential documents that only priests can access, organizational structure of government departments, personnel composition and detailed address of relevant personnel, military patrol route, time, defense map, etc. Brandt also wanted to continue to struggle, loudly pointed out that Chen Mo was framing him, but how could DuPont believe him again? Not listen to him and directly wave to the soldiers to drag him out, send directly to incineration. Brent's face changed a lot when he heard that. He cried out recklessly, "I was wronged. They are the ones who resist the organization. It's a conspiracy. You got the wrong man." In spite of Brent's desperate struggle and shouting, 2 soldiers dragged him out of DuPont's office one by one. As the 2 tall and heavy doors slowly closed, Brandt's voice was completely cut off, and the office was completely quiet. "You are now going to search the other 4 senior priests' houses and take them to the church for an emotional test. Only after all the senior priests have been cleared of suspicion can they be safely used to eliminate the rebellion of other departments. The strength of the 7 senior priests is enough to suppress all the junior priests. Ordinary soldiers are only killed in front of them." "Yes, sir." Chen and Murdoch went at their command. DuPont then ordered all the members of the church to convene a council meeting. The power of the resistance organization has penetrated into the Lord Priest, and there must be a thorough cleansing of the whole church, government and army in the government and army. However, such a big action must be approved by the Parliament. The Church Council, including DuPont, has a total of 12 members, who are also the highest authority in Libya except the Pope. Now is not the time when DuPont came to power after the Pope's death in the movie. Many important matters cannot be decided by DuPont alone. As the top of the church and the highest authority of Libya under the spiritual leader Pope, this large-scale cleaning involving the church, government, and military must be approved by the Parliament before it can be implemented. In addition, the 12 members of Parliament are responsible for the relevant affairs of the government, the army, and the church, and their cooperation and assistance are also needed for the Great Cleansing. After the arrangement, DuPont did not rush to the church council hall, but sat on the chair and thought about the cleaning action. The 12 members are in charge of different departments. Not all of them work in church buildings. Moreover, it is estimated that most of them have gone home at this time. Although they are all in the city center, it will take some time to come here. On the other side, the three men looked at the back of Blant, who was forced to be sent to the cremation room by 2 soldiers to carry out the cremation. They looked at each other, inexplicably and intriguingly, but there was no expression on their faces. At this time, Brant didn't know that he was designed by Chen Mo and Arlo Pater. He thought that he had discovered the secret of Arlo Pater, and he was able to rise to the top step by step with this credit. Unexpectedly, he fell into the trap of others, but he was also an emotional offender. In addition, he didn't know how to put it into his pocket and he couldn't argue about the contraband at home. However, looking at the actions of the 3 Chen and Mo before, they are obviously in a group. That's not to say that they are members of the real resistance organization, and their painstaking design of their own must have an ulterior purpose. Thinking of this, Brent can't help struggling harder, but he can't get rid of the shackles of 2 soldiers. What he said was only regarded as the nonsense before he died. He could only struggle in vain and was dragged to the incineration room step by 2 soldiers. Brant, who had been ambitious, was on the way to the end. All this is Chen Mo's plan. After this period of development, the strength of the resistance organization has expanded rapidly, and Chen Mo's big network has been fully launched, which is mature. But they still have a problem. In the church, in addition to the Pope, the real power holders are Vice President DuPont and 11 other members of Parliament. As senior priests, the real rulers of Libya, they are the existence that must be eliminated to overthrow the church rule. But they are respectively responsible for the relevant affairs of the government, the army, and the church. They work in different buildings at ordinary times, and the security around them is very strict. If we want to eliminate them together, there are not so many people and forces. If we eliminate them one by one, we will definitely kill them. So the only way is to attack them when they are together and kill them all. But it's not easy to get them together. As the top ruler of the power pyramid, they seldom get together unless they meet with major issues. Chen Mo's plan is to give them a reason to get together for a meeting, so there is what happened before. Elo Pacher deliberately exposed his flaws in front of Brent, let him find out that he was an emotional offender, and hid an illegal book. If it's normal, Brent may hesitate to report it directly, but Chen Mo, who became a gray priest with him, became a senior priest, which deeply stimulated him. Brent, who was blinded by jealousy, could not care about other things, just wanted to seize the opportunity and step by step. Using Brant's ambition and greed, he was introduced into the script set by Chen Mo and used the space ability to counter-plant in the home of Arlo Pacher. There were many contraband in the 2 families. In addition to Mary O'Brien's ornaments and works of art, there were many books in the family. However, they had already removed all contraband in advance. No matter how they searched, there would be no result. But Brant's home was opened by Jarvis using the internet to lock the electronic lock. The soldiers of the resistance organization arranged to secretly put the contraband and confidential information they had prepared in advance into his home, and charged him with betraying the church and joining the resistance organization. And by Brant's case, it led to the conclusion that the infiltration of resistance organizations into all sectors of the church might pose a threat to the church, which prompted Dupont to hold a parliamentary meeting. Dupont could not imagine that it was not a gray priest who joined the resistance, but 3 senior priests. Now everything is going according to Chen Mo's plan. All the members are coming one after another. Instead of rushing to start, the 3 men still go downstairs according to Dupont's previous order. Chen and Mo separated at the entrance of the church building and led a team of soldiers to the residence of other senior priests to search. When they arrived, they left the soldiers to search. Chen and 3 other senior priests returned to the church building directly with them and arranged special personnel to test their emotions. It took a long time for the test. Instead of staying to supervise, the 3 men left the test room together. Church building high level, council hall. Dozens of heavily armed soldiers in leather black windbreaker and fully enclosed helmets are armed with rifles at the entrance of the Parliament Hall and on both sides of the corridor leading to the hall. At this time, in the Hall of Parliament behind them sat the actual ruler of Libya, the supreme power controller under the Pope, the Council of the Lord. In front of the huge circular conference table, all 12 members of the church have arrived. Dupont, sitting in the position of chief speaker, begins to explain the reason for the convening of the Parliament. Gentlemen, just now Blant, the Grey Priest, has been identified as an emotional offender and tried to frame other senior priests. Dupont looked at the people in front of him and said solemnly, "There are signs that he has joined the resistance and helped them develop people in the government and the military." It was heard that the resistance organization, which they had despised, had extended its tentacles into the Lord Priest and began to use betrayers to frame other priests. The face of a congressman could not help changing. They soon realized the seriousness of the matter. The Lord Priest was the strongest support for their rule, and they could not make mistakes. It was only a little relieved to learn from Dupont that Chen and Mer had no problems and were testing and searching the other 4 senior priests. We don't know how many members of the resistance organizations are there in all departments, but we can be sure that the resistance organizations have threatened the stable rule of the church. Libya needs a clean-up. Dupont's voice is full of coldness. Once the great purge involving the whole Libya is launched, the church would rather kill the wrong than let go of the harsh style. Thousands of people will definitely die, but a congressman doesn't care how many people will die. As long as he can maintain the rule of the church and protect their ruling status and interests, it doesn't matter how many people die. Just as a group of church leaders in the assembly hall began to discuss the details of the large-scale cleanup operation to be carried out, outside the closed door of the assembly hall, 2 slender and cold figures in black priest robes suddenly appeared at the end of the opposite corridor, striding towards the assembly hall along the broad corridor. The faces of the 2 men were cold and fierce. They were obviously not good at what they came from. However, the soldiers guarding the 2 sides of the corridor seemed to have not seen them. They stood upright and did not look at each other. The 2 people in front of them ignored them. When they got to the door of the assembly hall, they pushed open the thick and gorgeous door of the assembly and stepped in. Through the open door, they could see that Vice Chairman Dupont and a representative who were in the meeting were shocked and turned around with frown and dissatisfaction. Dupont also frowned at the 2 people standing at the door. Obviously, he was very dissatisfied with their rash intrusion, but he seemed to think of something. Dupont asked in a deep voice, "What's the matter, Reverend Peston?" He was answered by 4 pistols that suddenly appeared in the hands of the 2 men, and by the muzzle that pointed to his dark hole. Dupont's eyes shrunk suddenly, and all that happened today flashed in his mind. In the end, what Blant said before he was taken away from cremation came to him. "I was wronged. They are the ones who resist the organization. It's a conspiracy. You got the wrong man." Until now, he did not realize that he had been led by others. He underestimated the power of the resistance organization. There were indeed traitors among the priests, but not one, not the Grey Priest, but 3 senior priests. Unfortunately, he reacted too late. At the next moment, the 2 gorgeous gates of the Parliament Hall slowly closed, blocking a blast of gunfire in the hall. The soldiers outside the door seemed to know nothing about the movement behind them. still standing quietly in place, guarding the hall behind them. A moment later, the door of the meeting hall was pushed open again, and John Peston and Arlo Pater came out with cold faces. Through the crack of the door, all the members of the Parliament who had just been high in the room became dead and fell on their seats in disorder. Yan Hong's blood gushed out of their bullet holes and flowed down the seats in China on the beautiful marble floor. There is a pool of bright red blood. In fact, some of the 12 members of the council have risen from the ranks of senior priests. They are proficient in gun fighting techniques. Their combat effectiveness is not much worse than that of ordinary senior priests. After they become members of the council, they will no longer participate in the fight and will not be equipped with guns at ordinary times. In addition, in the church building, which has been heavily guarded by soldiers for many years, there are dozens of elite soldiers outside the door, facing 2 senior priests who have just been proved loyal. They were shot on the spot without any resistance. The actual controller of the whole Libya, the High Parliament, was thus given a nest by the Lord Priest, the strongest weapon and the most solid backing in their hands. It is reasonable to say that the soldiers guarding the church building are in the barracks and dormitories in addition to the missions in the church. Unlike the soldiers of the extermination team who often go out to carry out missions, they have no chance to contact with the outside world at all. However, Chen Mo often takes advantage of his space ability and agile skills to replace their Bojin. As long as Jarvis observes their reactions, if he continues to inject Bojin, it means that the other party is still loyal to the church or afraid of the power of the church and dare not betray. This kind of person will directly pass and find a way to transfer them from the key post position. But most people will not want to go back to the state of walking dead, like a machine, after they have emotions and recover their normal thinking ability. After Jarvis monitors and observes them for a period of time and confirms their status, he will quietly put a micro-communication headset on them, and then the work of the resistance organization will be followed. The edification of music and literature will make them feel the beauty of emotion more, and they will hate the original life and the church that caused all this. With proper guidance, they will soon add he joined the resistance organization and became a member of the resistance against the brutal rule of the church. Although we didn't take in too many people due to the limited time, there was no problem in taking in all the dozens of soldiers guarding the Parliament Hall. While John Peston and Arlo Pater were on their way to the top of the Extermination Council, Chen Mo was on his way to the top of the church building. 123-story church building, the top 3 floors is the real owner of Libya, the residence of the Pope. As the founder of the church and the founder of Libya, the faith and spiritual leader of all people, the position of the Pope cannot be shaken. DuPont and Parliament are just the rulers he elected to manage the church and the country instead of him. If they are the prime minister and the cabinet, then the Pope is the emperor, the real dictator. However, under the control of Bojin, Libya became very stable, and the Pope delegated power to DuPont and the Parliament so that he could no longer deal with government affairs. But the whole faith and imperial power of Libya are still firmly in his hands. His words are the supreme law. As long as he orders, DuPont and Parliament can be revoked at any time, and their rights can be withdrawn at any time. So in addition to the video of brainwashing speech broadcast on every occasion every day, the Pope who has never been exposed is the real boss behind the scenes in Libya. And Chen Mo's goal is that he has passed away in the movie, but he still affects the whole Libya. The Pope's residence is guarded by the Pope's exclusive guard, and even DuPont cannot enter without permission. Moreover, the top 3 floors of the Pope's residence are not directly connected with the bottom. Even if it is approved to meet the Pope, it can only reach the 121 floors at the bottom of the Pope's residence through a special elevator, where it can only meet the Pope after strict inspection and handing over weapons. The elevator could only be operated by a full-time staff on the 121st floor, but it's hard for Jarvis, who easily seized control of the elevator. When John Peston and Arlo Pater went to the Assembly Hall to wipe out the Parliament, Chen Mo entered the special elevator leading to the Pope's residence on the top floor and went to the top floor. Feeling the elevator slowly stopped, Chen Mo looked at the number 121 on the screen beside him and said to the air, "Jarvis, block the Pope's floor, cut off foreign communications, take over the surveillance." "Yes, sir." Jarvis's voice rang in Chen Mo's ear. Elevator locked. Communication cut off. Monitoring takeover complete. "Sir, the blockade has been completed." "Ready?" Chen Mo hands, a double gun moment appear in the hands, eyes sharp, look at the elevator door. Eyes seem to penetrate the steel plate, see the scene behind the door. "Jarvis, open the door." "Yes, sir." With Jarvis's voice, the elevator door slowly opens to both sides. As the only way for the outside world to enter the Pope's residence, the 121st floor is also the most strictly guarded place for the Papal Guard. There are hundreds of elite Papal Guards on this floor, guarding the entrances, exits, and passageways. The area at the entrance of the elevator is the key point of defense. Whether there is an audience or not, there are always dozens of guards here. However, at this time, they did not receive the notice that someone had come to see them, and the running status of the elevator also stopped. So these elite soldiers wearing white leather windbreaker and full closed helmet did not enter the alert state. All pointed their guns at the elevator entrance, but held the rifles in their hands, evenly dispersed at the same distance, and stood quietly against the wall. Everyone stood there motionless, like sculptures. Suddenly, a soldier nearest to the elevator moved his head and seemed to find something. I saw him turn his head to look at the elevator on his side, and found that it still showed a state of stop. There was a little doubt on his face under the mask. He had just heard a slight sound of elevator running. Was it his mistake? When he listened attentively again, under his gaze, the two elevator doors that were closed suddenly opened slowly. The double eyelids under the helmet of the soldier who was listening attentively stared fiercely. However, before he could raise his gun and aim it at the elevator door, and before he could make a sound alarm, a pair of black pistols quickly stretched out from the elevator door, which had just opened half, pointing to both sides respectively, and the muzzle of one of them was pointing at him. Bang! Bang! After two shots, the two soldiers closest to the elevator door were smashed and their helmets fell back on their backs. At the same time, when other soldiers heard the sound of gun raising and turning around, Chen Mo kept turning his hands and quickly turned around to shoot at the most threatening targets. Bang! 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 The continuous gunfire is heard. Each gunshot is accompanied by a soldier who is shot to the ground. When other soldiers turn around and raise their guns to aim at Chen Mo, the elevator door has been opened for most of the time. Chen Mo's arms are raised horizontally, and he shoots at the front and both sides continuously, while rushing out of the elevator. After rushing out of the elevator, Chen Mo's body quickly flickered, dodging bullets from the surrounding area and shooting at the surrounding targets in various positions. The power of gun fighting technique has been exerted to the extreme. One person is killed in every shot, but all the bullets are predicted in advance by Chen Mo, hiding in the past. The soldiers guarding the Pope are much more elite than the militants of the illegal goods trafficking organization outside the city. Although they killed a lot before they reacted at first, Chen Mo felt unprecedented pressure under the attack of the remaining 20 people. With the physical quality of the senior priests that he deliberately keeps now, he is only at a relatively strong level among ordinary people, similar to that of the top special forces. Under the siege of more than 20 elite soldiers, he only relies on the calculation and deduction of gun fighting skills to evade attacks. The pressure is very high, and his brain is always running at a high speed, and he dare not relax at all. But this is exactly what Chen Mo hopes. After this period of crazy fighting exercise, his current gun fighting skill level is equivalent to that of John Peston, the most powerful of the senior priests. However, he doesn't feel that he has reached the limit of gun fighting, but it's very difficult to continue to improve. The best soldiers of the church guarding the Pope are the best training objects for him. A soldier was killed by Chen Mo's bullet, but the number of people here is increasing instead of decreasing. With Chen Mo's killing, The soldiers in this layer were all attracted by the gunfire. A large number of soldiers poured out from the three opposite channels, even faster than Chen Mo's quick and incomparable killing speed. Chen Mo had to play the spirit of 12 points to calculate all the data faster. Meanwhile, he tried to speed up the killing speed and ensure that the number of people on the scene grew slowly. With the increasing number of soldiers on the scene, Chen Mo's pressure is also increasing, and his gun fighting skills are also used to the extreme. Chen Mo can obviously feel that his gun fighting skills are rapidly improving in this overload battle. In order to maintain this perfect training state, when the number of soldiers coming in becomes smaller, Chen Mo even intentionally only breaks the helmet instead of the helmet hurt people, so they can take off their helmets and go on fighting. After more than 30 people took off their helmets, Chen Mo began to attack their legs again. All the soldiers were injected with potion and didn't know how to be afraid. Even if they were injured, they still stood against the wall or knelt on the ground and continued to attack Chen Mo. The ground beside them was full of dead soldiers. The blood gushed from their bodies flowed to their feet, but they were not affected at all. More than 30 people are the limit that gun fighting can deal with. If there are more than 30 people, the barrage is too dense to dodge. At first, Chen Mo felt a lot of pressure. Later, as the battle went on, he became more and more proficient in gun fighting, which seemed to have formed an instinct. A set of perfect automatic processing software was produced in his brain. All calculations were carried out automatically in his mind, and the reaction speed was faster and faster, and the battle became more and more easy. In this high-intensity battle, the gun fighting technique has finally been integrated, and its power has also been greatly improved. When Chen Mo felt that he could deal with the current situation calmly, when the skill of gun fighting was no longer improved, there was no soldier standing on the scene. All his legs were shot. He could not even lean against the wall. He knelt down and attacked Chen Mo with his gun. Chen Mo seems to have come to the kingdom of dwarfs. The tall figure keeps flashing in a group of people who are shorter than him. It's quite a sense of standing out from the crowd. Since there is no exercise anymore, Chen Mo doesn't waste any more time and kills all the dwarves. The corpses of more than 100 soldiers completely filled the originally spacious area, and the blood gushed out completely dyed the whole ground red, like a bloody hell. Chen Mo stepped on the corpse and left the Shura battlefield in a pool of blood and walked into the passage. Every step left a bright red blood footprints on the floor. Leaving a trail of fading blood, Chen Mo went all the way up to the front door of the real residence of the Pope. This is a magnificent gate larger and heavier than the Parliament Gate, behind which lies the dictator of Libya, the faith of the Church and the Supreme Pope. Chen Mo is full of curiosity about the Church and Libya's existence created by him in the end of the nuclear war. Now, it's time to meet. Chen Mo stepped forward and pushed the door open. Until the gate was completely pushed open by Chen Mo, there was no attack or sneak attack. Chen Mo is not surprised by this, calmly walked in through the door. Here is a gorgeous and artistic circular hall. Beautiful and smooth precious marble has spelt out various beautiful patterns on the ground. Around the hall, there are dozens of marble columns of more than 1 person thick standing around, firmly supporting the dome painted with magnificent ceiling above. The walls behind the pillars are all inlaid with green marble, and 2 large and beautiful oil paintings are hung on them. The sun shines through a large French window with gorgeous red curtains, making the hall more bright and magnificent. Just opposite Chen Mo, a kind-hearted middle-aged man in his 50s is sitting in front of the bookcase. His tables and chairs are not as spacious as Dupont's, but they are more gorgeous and profound, obviously the antiques before the war. Although he is kind-hearted, his breath is more majestic and heavy than Dupont's, and more aloof, overlooking the indifferent life. His eyes looked at Chen Mo as if he were looking at a mole ant. Obviously, Chen Mo did not feel threatened when he killed the papal guard downstairs. Chen Mo is not relieved that he is the only one here. According to the Church's gunfight materials, this broad, profound, and powerful gunfight was created by the middle-aged man in front of him who did not look tall or even skinny. Although no one has seen him fight, Chen Mo knows that he is absolutely the strongest in the whole church. Chen Mo's perception can clearly detect his physical condition. His body is not as thin as it looks on the surface. Under his clothes, there are streamlined and solid muscles. His heart beats slowly and firmly. This slightly elderly body in his 50s contains more powerful strength than John Purston. "Young man, let me see the extent of your fighting skill." As he spoke, the Pope got up from his chair, walked around his desk, and stood opposite to Chen Mo. His eyes did not face the prudence of assassinating his enemies, but showed a kind of interest in meeting new things, and a kind of ridicule and banter in the face of those who were beyond their capacity. In fact, when Chen Mo pushed in the door just now, it was the best time for a sneak attack. It was just because of his disdain and interest in Chen Mo as an assassin. He didn't fight. As the founder of Gunfight, he really has the right to be proud, but whether he is a master of the game or not will not be known until he has been beaten. In the face of the Pope's provocation, Chen Mo did not speak. The two men's eyes collided in the air, resulting in fierce cremation. At the next moment, Chen Mo quickly raised his arms and pulled the trigger towards the Pope more than 10 meters away. In the face of the soldiers, the gun-fighting technique failed in the Pope. Chen Mo's shooting path seems to be completely predicted by him. His body moves easily across all Chen Mo's attacks. Chen Mo shoots dozens of bullets in a row, but can't hurt him at all. He can calculate the prediction faster than Chen Mo. Chen Mo's every move, every attack is completely in his control. "Not bad, but that's all. It's my turn." As like as two peas of cold smiles on the face of the Pope, he avoided the attack of Chen Mo and quickly slipped out two black pistols exactly like Chen Mu's hands. At the next moment, two black holes pointed at Chen Mo with the firelight of the muzzle. A bullet came out continuously and flew towards Chen Mo. Chen Mo's eyes couldn't help tightening. Under the super reaction speed that he exceeded the ordinary people several times, the flight path of these bullets clearly showed in front of his eyes. In addition to the prediction of the follow-up attacks, Chen Mo found that the positions of these bullets were all his head and covered all the areas that could be dodged. With the reaction and speed of ordinary senior priests, there was nothing at all Fa dodges completely. No matter which direction he dodges, he will be hit by at least one bullet in his head. It is worthy of being the Pope who created the gun-fighting technique by himself. He forced Chen Mo into a dead end. Of course, this is under the condition that Chen Mo doesn't explode at full speed. After all, his main purpose is to exercise his gun-fighting skills. Seeing that the bullet went straight to Chen Mo's head, it was obvious that he could not dodge. The Pope's face raised a smirk of disdain and attacked him with the gun-fighting technique he created. It was just a trick. He could not help himself. It was ridiculous, but at the next moment the smile on the Pope's face suddenly froze. Just as the bullet was about to hit, Chen Mo's head was covered by a layer of black mask that suddenly appeared. The bullet hit it and aroused a purple light. Then it fell straight to the floor without causing any damage to Chen Mo. However, Chen Mo saw that he could not dodge with the physical quality of the senior priest, but did not have all the strength to dodge. Instead, he chose to activate the Zhenjin nano-combat suit to block the bullets fired at the head. Looking at the Pope with two guns in his hand, Chen Mo couldn't help but exclaim at the power of the Pope. It seems that the Pope is just a staff, and the gun-fighting technique is so powerful. He is worthy of being the one who created the gun-fighting technique. Even Chen Mo, who has completely mastered the gun-fighting technique and has formed instinct, is not his opponent. It seems that Chen Mo is far from the limit of gun-fighting. Thinking of this, Chen Mo's eyes can't help but become brighter. The stronger his strength, the happier Chen Mo is. This shows that there is a deep potential for gun-fighting. He believes that even the Pope has not reached the limit of gun-fighting. But now, from the Pope, Chen Mo sees an opportunity to improve himself. After a short pause, the next two started a fierce fight again. Although I don't know what happened to Chen Mo's nano-combat suit, the Pope won't give up the attack because of this. It's just an advanced bulletproof suit. No matter how strong the defense is under the attack of powerful gun fighting, it will only be broken sooner or later. With the protection of nano-combat suit, Chen Mo doesn't need to worry about being hit anymore. He just needs to keep the physical quality of the senior priest, fight with the Pope with all his strength, and take the opportunity to hone his gun-fighting skills. At the beginning of the battle, he was always hit. No matter how he dodged, the bullets still hit him like raindrops. However, Chen Mo's observation and learning ability is extremely amazing. During the battle, he carefully observed the Pope's every move. He found that the Pope's response and speed were significantly faster than that of ordinary people, about twice as fast as that of ordinary people. Although Howard Stark, who has not yet received the improved super soldier serum, was very powerful among ordinary people there is. This makes Chen Mo wonder if the Pope has received some kind of reinforcement. Since the Pope's response and speed are higher than that of ordinary people, Chen Mo doesn't have to continue to suppress them at the level of senior priests, so he has also increased his response speed to a level similar to that of him. As a result, he has been attacked a lot less, not as powerless as he was at the beginning, but still at a disadvantage. From time to time, bullets still hit his body. It turns out that, in addition to the extraordinary reaction speed, Chen Mo also found many excellent skills of gunfight that were not available in the previous gunfight materials from the Pope. Obviously, the Pope hid them and kept a hand in the gunfight materials learned by the Lord Priest. However, it's a pity that Chen Mo met him. His excellent shooting skills were quickly learned by Chen Mo in the battle. If the shooting skill of the Lord Priest is the simplest and quickest shooting and dodging move deduced by science, then the Pope's shooting skill is a more refined and powerful upgraded version based on the basic move, and after a lot of practical optimization and improvement. After learning this more sophisticated shooting technique and increasing his reaction speed to the same level as the Pope, Chen Mo can completely avoid the Pope's attack. However, his counterattack is also completely dodged by the Pope. For a while when you come and go, the shots are endless, but there is no way to take each other. Chen Murao is self-confident. He has accumulated experience in the battle with the Pope, the top gun fighter. He is skilled in the upgraded gun technique he just mastered, but the Pope's face was gradually gathering. Who is the other party? It's just a strange combat suit that covers the whole body and can completely resist bullet attack. How can its strength be improved in such a short period of time? Not only can its reaction and speed be increased to the same level as him, but also he has learned the upgraded version of marksmanship that he has always hidden in the battle. DuPont had previously reported that there was a peerless genius among the priests, that is, the young man in front of him, but now it seems that this is not a peerless genius at all, but a peerless creation. This horrible speed and learning ability is not what normal human beings can have at all. Is it also? Anyway, it can't be dragged on like this all the time. Since the shooting can't defeat Chen Mo, let's change the way. The Pope raised his gun and fired several shots at Chen Mulian. While Chen Mulian was hiding, he made efforts at his feet and rushed to Chen Mulian. When Chen Mo dodged the bullet, he was close to Chen Mo, and the pistol in his hand pointed directly at Chen Mo's head. At such a close distance, Chen could not have dodged. The bullet directly hit Chen Mo's head and aroused a purple light on the nano combat suit. Melee. Seeing the Pope once again pull the trigger in his eyes, Chen Mo quickly opened the Pope's hands with his left hand holding the gun, and at the same time, his right hand held the gun and pulled the trigger towards the Pope. Just as the trigger was about to pull to the bottom and the bullet was about to fire, the Pope's left hand, which had been blocked, quickly fell to the left and swung away, turning the muzzle aside before the bullet was fired. In this way they held guns in both hands and launched a close combat gunfight that was more intense and exciting than before. Under close quarters, the movements of the two men are more rapid. Their hands are constantly attacking the block. Their shadows are flying. Bullets are flying around. Murals, stone pillars, walls, and glass are breaking under the flying bullets. Close shot is different from medium and long-range shooting. The confrontation is more rapid and fierce, and it is also more dangerous. When attacking the opponent, the muzzle of the opponent's gun must be quickly blocked before the trigger is fired. If there is a little carelessness, it will be hit by the bullets close by. There is no chance to escape at all, so the most important thing of close shot is blocking, not dodging. Although Chen Mo also has practice in melee shooting, this kind of fighting method is more used when fighting with the enemies who are close to each other. Ordinary enemies have been solved by Chen Mo before they are close to each other. Even if they are deliberately put close to each other, they will be killed by Chen Mo without a move at all, so Chen Mo is rarely used in the battle. In fact, although Chen Mo doesn't use much, it's Chen Mo's strong point in this respect. In close combat, he pays attention to blocking, but the requirements here are more strict. Chen Mo's advanced fighting skills can be fully developed here. So in addition to being hit at the beginning of the sudden switch of fighting mode, the battle behind the two men can be said to be close to each other. Chen Mo relies on his powerful fighting skills, while the Pope relies on his excellent gun-fighting moves and forensics to keep up with him. Chen Mo still hasn't forgotten his purpose, which is to improve his fighting skills. So after observing for a while and learning the enhanced version of the Pope's fighting skills, he gradually integrated the original fighting skills into the battle and used the prediction and deduction of the gun fighting skills to gradually suppress the Pope and gain the upper hand. This time, the Pope is not calm at all. He had been prepared for the close combat skill, but Chen Mo's own combat skill was beyond his expectation. He was able to draw with him who used the gun fighting skill only by his combat skill, which was very powerful. After learning his moves, he was able to integrate into the original combat skill very quickly. With the function of gun fighting, he began to suppress it live with him. The Pope didn't have Chen Mo's nano combat suit. Once Chen Mo continues to suppress him completely, he only needs one shot to kill him, so the Pope has to change his tactics. As he attacked and blocked Chen Mo's attack, the Pope retreated to his desk. Finally, he retreated to the table. The Pope pushed Chen Mo's hands down hard. At the same time, he immediately released his pistol. He let the pistol fall to the ground, his hands extended behind him. His backhand brushed the ground from the knife rest on the table and pulled out two bright samurai swords. When Chen Mo's pressed hands are raised again to point at him, his two knives have been pulled out and cut to Chen Mo's arms with guns from both sides. If Chen Mo continues his original action, his arm will definitely be cut before he takes aim at the Pope. Although the nano battle suit protection will not hurt, but it will lose the significance of this battle. So Chen Mo had to turn the muzzle up and block the two sharp knives with the metal body. However, the pistol was not originally used for blocking, and the force was not reasonable. The long, sharp knife made of special materials was cut on the barrel, which directly deflected the muzzle of the gun. While cutting horizontally, the blade also slid upward along the inclined barrel. Hiss! As the Pope's arms crossed in front of his chest, the blades of the two knives cut across the barrel of the gun rapidly, bringing up a burst of sparks, but also left two deep cuts on the barrel. However, Chen Mo's fingers and wrists holding the handle of the gun together barely stopped the attack. The Pope couldn't stop beating his hands, turning his hands and wrists, and opening his crossed arms outwards. At the same time, the long knife also turned 180 degrees, and then cut his neck from both sides. Chen Mo had no time to adjust the muzzle attack, so he could only face the barrel of the gun to the long sword. This time, taking advantage of the moment when the long knife was blocked, the Pope immediately sent the handle of the knife with both hands and quickly turned his wrist, from holding the knife with the back hand to holding the knife with the front hand. 2 times in a row, Chen Mo has found that the pistol does not work at all in the face of the Pope who uses a long knife. Before, when using the pistol, Chen Mo could block the Pope's arm with his arm and move the muzzle away. But now, in the face of double blades, he can only block with the barrel, which is extremely inconvenient. Moreover, in the face of the Pope's rapid attack, he has no chance to aim at shooting. So taking advantage of the Pope's change of hands, Chen Mo quickly backed away and opened up the distance. At the same time, he finally had time to turn around the muzzle and shoot bullets at the Pope. When 2 silvery lights flashed, accompanied by 2 crisp metal strikes, I saw the Pope standing there still intact, but there were 2 more scratches on the 2 knives in his hands, and Chen Mo's bullets were blocked by him with the blade. In fact, this is not to say that his speed is faster than the bullet, but according to Chen Mo's action, he predicted the trajectory of the bullet in advance. Before Chen Mo fired, he had blocked the knife on the trajectory of the bullet, which produced the effect of the knife body blocking the bullet. Instead of Chen Mo continuing to shoot, the Pope rushed forward again with the knife, obviously trying to play the advantage of the long knife and Chen Mo's close combat. Looking at the Pope in charge, Chen Mo knows that even if he continues to shoot, he will only be blocked with a knife. In this case, the Pope quickly spread out and rushed to Chen Mo. He cut his two knives at the same time towards his neck and abdomen. After all, the pistol is not a cold weapon. It's not as easy to use as a dagger. He just rushed out the knife and barely resisted it. Next, the Pope was confident that under his stormy attack, the two pistols alone could not stop all his attacks. He doesn't believe that Chen Mo's bulletproof suit has no loopholes. If he can't kill with one stroke, he will kill with 101,000. Under his knife, Chen Mo's two pistols are completely reduced to scrap iron. When the Pope thought that the whole situation had been decided, what happened before him really puzzled him first, and then his eyes widened violently, which was unbelievable. Ding! Ding! Then two clear metal strikes suddenly sounded, but the sound was not the same as when the long knife hit the pistol before. It should be more clear and pleasant. Moreover, the blade did not shake as before when the pistol was barely blocked but was steadily blocked. It turns out that just now, when the Pope's long sword came, Chen Mo suddenly opened his pistol. At the next moment, two standard black samurai swords in the classroom appeared in Chen Mo's hands. Under his waving, Chen met the long sword directly and steadily resisted the Pope's attack. The Pope stared at Chen Mo's samurai sword. He couldn't understand where he took it. Next, he entered the teaching time again. When Pope Ren applied his enhanced version of swordsmanship, he still had no choice but to learn all his swordsmanship from Chen Mo. Although Chen Mo's swordsmanship has reached the realm of transformation after integrating St. Cross swordsmanship and Alexander Corvina's extraordinary swordsmanship, the Pope's swordsmanship is another completely different system, which uses scientific deduction to achieve the shortest attack distance, the fastest attack speed, and the largest attack effect. It is simple, direct, and efficient, which is very consistent with Chen Mo's fighting style. Although the subtlety is not as good as Chen Mo's swordsmanship, Chen Mo has not improved his swordsmanship for a long time. After finding that the pistol had no use under the Pope's long sword, Chen Mo planned to replace it with cold weapons. Although he didn't bring them, there were plenty of them in his space. Instead of using the king's sword, Chen Mo took out two warrior swords used by priests from the space. In Chen Mo's current state, the swords were not very different and all of them were used at will. So far, Chen Mo has made great progress in gunfight, melee, and swordsmanship. This meeting with the Pope can be said to be fruitful. However, so far, the Pope's potential and secret base have been forced out by Chen Mo. At this time, Chen Mo has made every effort, but he can no longer continue to improve. In that case, it's almost over. But in the end, I haven't tried one. I'll just set it up completely. Chen Mo's two swords in his hands were picked hard, and he flew the warrior swords in the Pope's hands. Then he put away his weapons and threw himself into it. He used his fists and feet to fight with the Pope again. This time, Chen Mo was somewhat disappointed. He lost his pistol and weapon, single-round, empty-hand fighting. Although the Pope's fighting power was still very strong, he did not show more amazing performance. There was no more place for Chen Mo to learn fighting skills. Under Chen Mo's advanced fighting skills, he almost completely beat him. It can be said that the value of the Pope has been drained by Chen Mo, so it's time to end. At this moment, Chen Mo didn't keep his hand. Although he didn't exert all his strength, the powerful fighting skill of the patriarchal division level was fully exerted. Soon, the Pope was in a hurry and couldn't deal with it. Finally, in the eyes of the Pope full of fear, unwillingness, and disbelief, Chen Mo broke his throat and killed him on the spot. Poor generation of martial arts master. He found his own way to create gun fighting skills, but he couldn't use Chen Mo, who cheated with his equipment. Not only did he learn all the gun fighting skills at the bottom of the box, but also he spent half a day as an assistant to help him hone his skills. Seeing Chen Mo was far inferior to him with his own eyes, he was able to kill instantly, and quickly increased to be able to fight him completely, making him completely there is no counter-attack. Of course, Chen Mo deliberately controlled his reaction, speed and strength to the same degree as him. Otherwise, even if his skills were not as good as his in some aspects, Chen Mo could easily win him only by his strong physical quality, which was far more than the number of ordinary people. At this point, all the high-level churches were destroyed, and the ruling class of Libya was completely in a vacuum. But except for the resistance organizations such as Chen Mo, the outside world knew nothing about it. After killing the Pope, Chen Mo took out a shroud bag from the space, squatted down and reached for the Pope's body on the ground, ready to put it up. When his fingers touched his chest, the touch of his fingertips made Chen Mo feel wrong. Thinking of the Pope's superior brain power, reaction, and speed, Chen Mo couldn't help being curious, even when he took his coat off. The skin under the clothes is exposed, but it is not as smooth as ordinary people, but as a skin patient, a thick layer of purple scab is born with cracks all over it, showing the bright red tender meat below. Is this? Chen Mo stares at the Pope's body, frowns and ponders. It doesn't seem that he thought about accepting some kind of reinforcement, but rather variation. Chen Mo's eyes suddenly brightened. Yes, this is the world after the Third World War. The nuclear war almost destroyed the whole world. Countless people died under the great power of nuclear weapons, but many people barely survived, but they were affected by the nuclear radiation. Their bodies changed. Most of them died in a short time. The Pope may also be one of them, but the variation on him is quite special. In addition to the changes on the surface of his body, his brain power, reaction, and speed have also been improved to a certain extent. Only in this way can he survive in the end of the post-war era and establish the Lord's Church in Libya. However, nuclear radiation should have seriously damaged his body. Although he was lucky enough to have this beneficial mutation enhancement, his lifespan was greatly shortened, which explained the reason why he died suddenly in his 50s in the movie. Chen Mo's conjecture is not wrong. It's after the nuclear radiation that the Pope mutates that he has the strength to surpass the ordinary people. When Chen Mo showed his strong learning ability and speed of improvement before, the Pope even suspected that Chen Mo was just as lucky to have a beneficial mutation in the nuclear radiation as he was. After solving the doubts in his mind, Chen Mo didn't delay anymore. He put the Pope's body on the side and sat down in the chair behind the Pope's desk. "Jarvis, let's go." "Yes, sir." As soon as Jarvis's voice fell, a pillar was raised slowly at the outermost part of the desk in front of Chen Mo. At the top of the pillar it was a small camera. The Pope often gives speeches here and naturally has the corresponding shooting equipment. At the bottom of the camera column, a screen also pops up. As the indicator light of the camera lights up, Chen Mo's face appears on the screen. But soon, the picture suddenly changes. Chen Mo's face and even his clothes become the appearance of the dead Pope. Even the background behind becomes the nihilistic background commonly used by the Pope in his speeches. In fact, Chen Mo's fine control of the body directly changes into the Pope's appearance. It's not difficult to imitate his voice, but there's Jarvis to do it for you. Why bother? After the Pope died in the movie, DuPont used virtual images to change into the Pope's appearance, creating the illusion that the Pope was still alive, and continued to rule Libya with the influence of the Pope. People of Libya, I have an important thing to announce now. In the church building, the Pope's voice came from the loudspeakers installed everywhere, which made everyone stop and listen attentively. Not only the church building, but also all the televisions, screens, projections inside and outside every building in Libya, as well as the screens on the huge airship floating over the city. All the original papal brainwashing speeches stopped and were replaced by live cameras processed by Jarvis. There's just been a rebellion in Libya. Just now, Vice President DuPont's joint parliament mobilized a force to rush into the imperial palace to assassinate. The rebel forces have killed all the papal guards, but they have now been killed by me. DuPont and all the members of Parliament who launched the rebellion have been killed. I now declare that the Parliament will be abolished, that all departments will be taken over by senior priests, and that everyone will perform their duties, and that stability in Libya must be maintained. The function of the potion is reflected here. When hearing the Pope's speech, there was no confusion and commotion. After confirming that their beloved Pope was safe and sound, all people followed the order of the Pope to perform their duties and maintain stability. John Peston and Arlo Pater heard this speech, knowing that Chen Mo had succeeded, and immediately led a group of soldiers who joined the resistance organization to enter the Palace of Religion with the help of Jarvis. When the elevator reached the 121st floor, just as the elevator door opened, the scene in front of it made everyone stunned. Hundreds of corpses were piled up together, and the bright red blood covered a thick layer on the ground. It even flowed to the door of the elevator, down the gap in front of the door. John Peston and Arlo Pater looked at each other and saw a deep shock from each other's eyes. Even they could not say they could deal with so many elite soldiers. Looking at the blood footprints left in the opposite passage, the two men did not delay anymore and took the lead in stepping into the dead mountain and blood sea, and other soldiers were also busy following up. All corpses are put into the shroud bag and sent to the incineration room for cremation. When John Peston finished, he left the soldiers to clean up the body and blood of the Pope's guard. He and Elo Pater rushed to the Pope's residence upstairs. After a while they walked down again, but there was a shroud bag on Arlo Pater's shoulder. At this time, other soldiers had packed many bags of corpses and put them into the elevator. The two men put the bags containing the Pope's corpses together with other bags and then left others to clean up. They took the elevator and went downstairs with the corpses. As soon as the elevator door opened, they saw 4 senior priests standing in front of it. "We asked to see the Pope. Make sure he's safe." A burly clergyman saw the two and immediately stepped forward and said that the other 3 also fixed their eyes on them. What happened today is so unusual. First, there was a traitor among the priests. Then DuPont ordered a search and test of all the senior priests. Just when they were tested, the Pope was assassinated. DuPont and the council killed him. This series of things happened so suddenly that, although they saw the Pope's video, it was not enough to reassure them. So the 4 rushed to the elevator to ask for the Pope, but they were told that John Peston and priest Arlo Pater had gone up with a group of soldiers. After what happened before, they couldn't believe anyone at this moment. After the previous events at this moment, they can't believe anyone, including their colleagues. Only when they see the Pope with their own eyes, confirm his safety and situation and get his own orders, can they completely rest assured. John Peston and Elo Pater looked at each other for a moment, but they didn't know what to do. They said that the Pope didn't see anyone now. The 4 people in front of them obviously won't accept it. After all, the 2 of them are not their superiors and they may break in directly. But the Pope is dead and the body is in the bag behind them. It's so early for them to go up and they will not be exposed. I can't. I can only kill them. It's just 2 against 4. Even if John Peston is the strongest of the senior priests, I don't mean he can be 1 against 3. When they were in a dilemma, the micro-communication headset in their ears suddenly rang. Let them up. But it turned out that Chen Mo knew the following through Jarvis. Chen Mo originally wanted to steal a lazy job. He would have been fooled by Jarvis. Unexpectedly, these senior priests are not easy to fool. Usually it's just that. Such a big thing, they have to see the Pope with their own eyes to ensure his safety before they can rest assured. As the savior, father of the country and spiritual belief of the Libyan people, so many years of brainwashing are not in vain. Everyone's loyalty to the Pope cannot be shaken. In the movie, even if the Pope died, DuPont, who succeeded him, still ruled in the name of the Pope, and the influence of the Pope can be seen. In fact, Chen Mo thought about directly killing the Pope to replace him at the beginning. However, the Pope lived in seclusion and was heavily guarded. It was easy to kill him, but he could not do it quietly. Once he started, he would certainly alarm the guards and priests. Even if he wiped out all the people, he could not successfully control the church. and gun fighting was nowhere to learn. It's better to step into the priest first, learn how to fight with a gun, and master some hands step by step, so as to help him take over the church smoothly. After receiving Chen Mo's instruction, John Peston and Arlo Pacher thought that Chen Mo was going to lead 4 people up and kill them together. According to Chen Mo's performance of killing 100 Pope's exclusive guards alone and defeating the Pope, Chen Mo's strength was far greater than that of the 2 of them. In addition, they assisted each other. Killing 4 senior priests should no problem. But don't forget that the Pope's body is also placed in the elevator with the bodies of other guard soldiers. The Pope's body is of great importance. They must send it to be burned in person to ensure safety. Otherwise, once the Pope is found dead, there will be many changes and then the situation will not be so well controlled. Paget escorts the body and Peston brings people up. After receiving Chen Mo's further order, they immediately stopped hesitating. John Peston took back his eyes and nodded to them. "You will also be summoned under the Pope's crown. Come with me." The reason why John Peston and Arlo Patergy obeyed Chen Mo's orders was not because of his strength, but because Chen Mo showed that he was the mysterious ally of the resistance organization at the underground base that night. At first, Jurgen and others couldn't believe that there was only one ally who had a lot of power. They didn't accept the fact until Chen Mo called Jarvis in front of them for some operation. Before the Third World War, the world was also very developed in science and technology. Naturally, there was artificial intelligence. Although it was not as powerful as Jarvis, it was not totally unacceptable. Knowing that Chen Mo is a mysterious ally who has been helping them develop secretly, he still has no opinion on the plan proposed by Chen Mo, such as Jurgen and others. In the past, Chen Mo has proved his strength with facts. The development of the resistance organization in this period of time is beyond Jurgen's imagination. They have been waiting for this day for a long time. They set up the resistance organization to overthrow the brutal rule of the church. Now the day is finally here. Chen Mo, relying on his great achievements, easily gained the command of action. If Chen Mo didn't promise, Jurgen would give him the position of leader. Chen Mo is about to leave soon. What's the use of asking for the position of the leader? So he refuses without hesitation. Upon Chen Mo's order, John Peston signaled 4 senior priests to join him in the elevator. Before the confrontation, the church soldier who joined the resistance group and stayed outside had moved the body out of the elevator. 4 senior priests took a look at the shroud bag, but they didn't come forward to check it. Meeting the Pope in front of them was the most important thing. When the elevator door closed, Elo Pacher directed the soldiers to transport the body to the crematorium, and his attention was focused on the bag containing the Pope's body. 4 senior priests, led by John Peston, took the elevator to the 121st floor. Although the rest of the bodies here had been packed and sealed, the blood on the ground had not been cleaned yet. There was still a thick layer of fresh red blood on the whole ground, and the whole ground outside the elevator was completely bright red. This makes the 4 more worried about the Pope's safety. Stepping on a pool of blood, the 4 followed John Peston to the door of the Pope's office. John Peston stopped at the door and motioned for the 4 to enter. In fact, according to the normal procedure, it is necessary to have a strict search, test, and hand over all the weapons of the Pope. However, this is a special time, just after the rebellion. The 4 people are not sure about the safety of the Pope, so it is impossible for them to hand over the weapons. John Peston didn't talk much. He just let the 4 people in, and he fell behind, ready to fight against Chen Mo one by one. Watching the 4 men push open the door and go inside, John Peston's body is tense, ready to pop up 2 guns with Chen Mo after he launched the attack. But the shot he was waiting for didn't arrive, and the next move of the 4 was that of John Peston. Only 4 people pushed the door into the Pope's office, but they didn't welcome Chen Mo's attack as he thought, and they didn't show any difference. Instead, they strided forward to the middle of the rotunda with some excitement and fell on one knee. "See Pope." Seeing the reaction of several people, John Peston looked into the hall with some doubts. The former 4 senior priests completely blocked his sight in front of him, but now several people kneel down to reveal the scene ahead. Looking at the familiar middle-aged man sitting at the back of the antique wooden table, John Peston only felt that he had seen a ghost. Just now here, he and Arlo Patterson opened the shroud bag and checked it, and saw the Pope's body. What's the matter with the Pope sitting behind the desk? John Peston now wanted to rush down and open the shroud and see if it was the real Pope. Get up! The dignified voice of the Pope sounded slowly, no different from what they had heard before. John Peston also had no intention of giving a hand to the 4. He had been watching the Pope preach to the 4 and assigned them a task to go to the government and the army to maintain order. Then the Pope let the 4 retreat. This time, instead of leaving with them, John Peston looked at the Pope, who was still sitting there. Under his gaze, the Pope's unsmiling face suddenly appeared a smile. With the appearance of the smile, his whole face began to change and soon became Chen Mo's appearance, and his height slowly rose back to its original height. John Peston's eyes widened when he saw this magical scene. Although he had already guessed it, he didn't expect it would be such a big change. Well, don't stare. It's just a little control over the body. There's still a lot to do. Let's go. Under the warning of Chen Mo, John Peston finally came back to his senses. Then he remembered that there were still many aftercare matters to be done by him. He quickly turned around and left. Looking at the back of John Peston's departure, the smile on Chen Mo's face gradually disappeared. The gun-fighting technique has been learned. It's also an enhanced version of the Pope's private collection. The gun technology has been greatly improved. Under the blessing of the gun-fighting principle, the power of the gun-fighting and swordsmanship has also been greatly improved. The fight with the Pope has benefited him a lot, and the journey is also fruitful. It's time to get ready to leave. However, everything has a beginning and an end. Now the resistance organization still needs its own help to deal with the aftermath, which is not bad for the last few days. In the days that followed, Libya seemed calm, but the major sectors changed dramatically. First of all, the original guards of the imperial palace were all killed in the process of resisting the rebels. The Pope ordered Elo Pater to redeploy a guard from the army, and the imperial palace was restored to a state that had not been allowed to enter before. 4 senior priests saw the Pope with their own eyes, and after confirming his safety, they no longer asked to see him. They directly followed the orders issued by the imperial palace to perform their tasks. The other gray priests were obedient to the orders, and the Lord Priest was fully under control. All orders were issued from the imperial palace, and the government, the army, and the church were all greatly adjusted. The first is the head of each department. In the past, DuPont was in charge of the overall situation, while other members of parliament were in charge of the government, the military, and other major departments. Now all of them have been destroyed, and parliament has been abolished, so it is natural to appoint new directors. The government in charge of Libya's construction, people's livelihood, and other administrative affairs was entrusted by Chen Mo to Jurgen. The church and the most powerful force, the Lord Priest, to John Peston, the most powerful of the senior priests, and the last army to Elo Patch. In addition to the heads of major departments, other important positions have also not been ignored. Members of resistance organizations in various departments have been promoted to control major departments, and a large number of new personnel have also been added to various departments. After all, the members of the resistance organizations in the government and the army are limited. The capable civilians in the resistance organizations have also been inserted into the government and the army in large numbers, so that the resistance organizations have a thorough grasp of Libya. No one knows that Libya, with the Pope's adjustment, which strictly forbids the existence of feelings, has been controlled by a group of emotional criminals. After making sure that the situation has been completely controlled and the corresponding preparations have been made, Chen Mo released a video speech through Jarvis, announcing the cancellation of emotional crime, the closure of Bojan, pharmaceutical factory, the cessation of the use of Bojan, and the issuance of strict public security laws and regulations to limit people's wrong emotions, thoughts, and behaviors instead of Bojan. In times of chaos, the Libyans have just recovered from the numbness of death and flesh. If there is no strict legal restriction, the country will soon fall into chaos and become self-defeating. In Libya, the Pope's will is to transcend the supreme existence of the law, and the promulgation and revocation of the law is just between his thoughts. After the abolition of the emotional crime, the soldiers who stand guard and patrol in the city become more than before. However, their task is no longer to find and catch emotional criminals, but to maintain public order, protect the safety of the Libyan people, maintain a good and stable social order, and arrest those who violate the law and order. These public security criminals who suddenly have feelings and release themselves too much will not be executed by fire like the former ones, but they will still be flogged in different numbers according to the severity of the crime and executed in the street. The long, thin, and tough whip on the butt is just skin and flesh, and a bright red bloodstain is just under the whip. The heartbreaking cry and the skin and flesh of the butt are more deterrent than the fire. In the first few days of ceasing to use Boxian, there were indeed a large number of people fighting and molesting women. It was a period of chaos, but soon these people were caught by soldiers. After reading out the public security regulations they violated, they immediately ripped off their pants in the street and began to execute. In the first few days, the whole city of Libya was shrouded in the crack and cry of whip. There was a cry for relief. People were curious to watch the bustle of the crowd, but also were killed to make an example of others, and the security situation behind was much better. Of course, those who rob, rape, and kill are not so easy to get whipped. Without emotional criminals, the incineration room can't be idle. These black sheep will be sent to cremation, contributing their own light and heat to the stability of Libya. Although Chenmo's public security law is severe, it is not cruel. Ordinary public security crimes are just suffering from flesh and blood, with a long lesson. Only serious criminal crimes can be cremated and executed. The citizens of Libya did not feel oppressed. On the contrary, most of them felt a lot happier than before. In the previous period of emotional crime, it was called real oppression. There was no emotion, no self, and they were often caught and cremated. But now we can enjoy the emotional life freely. As long as we don't commit crimes, we don't have to worry about someone coming to take you away. The soldiers on guard and patrol in the street are protecting their safety. They feel the unprecedented freedom, happiness, and security. The people in the city have been liberated, and Chenmo has not forgotten the abandoned people outside the city. The huge airship that originally flew over Libya crossed the tall wall and flew to the area of Nisses, conveying the new policy of Libya to the people in the entire area of Nisses. All the gates from Libya to Nisses have been opened, and they can all enter Libya if they want to, become Libyan citizens, and enjoy a safe and stable living environment. Of course, what they don't know is that, after entering Libya, all people will accept the detection of a motion detector, which is a device that can detect even subtle emotions. It's totally different that it is used to detect lies. For those who have ever committed serious crimes, what they are waiting for is not a spacious and clean new house, but a narrow incineration chamber in the incineration room. This procedure is mainly aimed at those illegal drug trafficking organizations. Although Chenmo's crazy killing has left few of these armed groups that were originally king in Nisses, there are still 3 or 2 kittens who survived by chance, and they can still not escape Chenmo's poisonous hands. Under Chenmo's operation, Libya was not liberated by force as in the movie, but it was smooth and excessive, becoming what everyone wanted. Chenmo was also successful, leaving behind the video image and voice processing software made by Jarvis, which can disguise as the Pope. Then he released the steel war suit from the space at night, dressed quickly, and then came to the church. The window on the top floor flew out. Without stealth equipment, Chenmo spewed dazzling white flames at his feet and flew directly out of the Libyan city to the periphery of Nisses district. Chenmo had asked Jarvis to control the satellite to roughly observe the whole Earth before, and finally found that all the cities in the world had become ruins. Apart from Libya, no other modern cities were found. Libya is probably the world's only remaining seat of civilization. When flying over the periphery of Nis's district, Chen Mo saw the two-story building with courtyard that the middle-aged couple lived in after he killed the large-scale armed group hiding in the abandoned shopping mall that day. It was late at night, and the area of Nis's was dark without lights. Chen Mo could see the yard below clearly through the night vision and amplification function of steel war clothes. The vegetables in the yard are still growing neatly, and the yard looks neat. Jarvis scanned the whole house. Under Chen Mo's command, the image in his eyes immediately changed, and the structure, internal shape, and objects of the whole house were all scanned out, but no trace of human beings was found. Obviously, they have left for Libya. In fact, after seeing the huge floating airship and hearing the news of canceling the emotional crime and allowing the abandoned people outside the city to enter Libya, they packed up their things and left the small building where they had lived for many years and rushed to Libya that day. If it was before, they would hesitate to hear the news. But after meeting Chen Mo last time, they thought they would die, but nothing happened. At that time, they had a bold guess. The senior priest who saw them was actually an emotional offender. Although this guess is a little surprising, the great changes now do not just prove that their original guess is correct. There is a clear connection between the two things. Chen Mo just happened to pass by here. Just look at what happened at the beginning. Since they had already gone to Libya, Chen Mo was not in delay. He rushed out of the area of Nis's and into the area beyond the ruins of the city. Chen Mo flies all the way in the sky and finds that in addition to the ruins of the city, the traces left by human beings in other places have almost disappeared. Weeds and trees have grown in the farmland, which has become a large area of grassland and forest. The roads that are not passed by are also covered by weeds, shrubs, and trees. It is difficult to distinguish them from the sky. Beyond the ruins of the city, it has become a wilderness. From time to time, we can see the nocturnal activities of animals. The world has become the world of wild animals again, and the ecological environment destroyed by human survival, development, and war has recovered rapidly after the rapid reduction of human population. However, in this wilderness, occasionally we can see the trace of human beings. The campfire lit and the tent built by branches look more like the wilderness for survival. The weapons beside the tent are mostly bows and arrows and machetes. The surviving human beings in the wilderness return to the state of hunting for survival again. In the wilderness far away from the city, without ammunition supply, the hot weapons will soon have no use. To hunt, you can only rely on the most primitive cold weapons, such as knives, spears, bows, and arrows, to cooperate with the traps. Flying all the way, passing over the vast wild jungle, in addition to a few solitary hunters, Chen Mo also saw a small wooden house built by the lake beside a beautiful lake. A solid wooden fence surrounded the wooden house and a clearing by the lake. There were a lot of food and vegetables planted in the clearing, and a small wooden boat was parked by the lake. Jarvis scanned and found that there was a family of 3 living in the wooden house. Behind the door was an old-fashioned 2-barrel shotgun. Obviously, relying on the lake and farming, the 3 members of the family have a better life than those lone rangers. They have lived in seclusion by the picturesque lake. The strong fence blocks most of the animals, and the shotgun provides them with stronger security assurance. However, from Jarvis's scan of the whole house, Chen Mo found that there are only 3 bullets left in the shotgun. Obviously, these years of life they have not been less in danger. Even if how to save, there will always be a day to use up. Jarvis scanned 10 kilometers of predators. Chen Mo, who accidentally found the paradise-like place, didn't leave in a hurry and hovered in the air in steel battle clothes. With Chen Mo's command, an invisible optical network swept through the jungle below, and soon a group of data appeared on the holographic screen in front of Chen Mo. Puma, 2. Grizzly, 1. Wolf, 12. It seems that there are many predators in the area near the lake. Relying on the fence and shotgun, the 3 members of the family can occupy a piece of land near the lake and watch the production of the lake and the land live. but it's hard to say whether they can survive the animal attack after they run out of bullets. Especially grizzly bear, which has thick skin and thick flesh, can't be solved by 3 shots. Maybe next time they meet grizzly bear, their family will be destroyed. Since Met is also fate, Chenmo controls the war clothes to slowly descend to the yard in front of the wooden house. Through the wall, Chenmo looks at the scanning image lying in the small body between parents. Heart cannot help but some sigh. When she grows up, the world should almost recover some anger. Under the leadership of Jurgen, John Peston, and Elo Pater, Libya, which was transformed by him, should be able to let these human beings return to the civilized world without being the barbarians for a lifetime. Without the dependence of scientific and technological civilization, it is really not easy for human beings to survive in this wild world. Although war can promote the development of science and technology, it can also destroy civilization and return human beings to primitive society. Chenmo will never allow his world to become the same as this one. The burden of protecting the Earth and safeguarding world peace falls on Chenmo's shoulders. From the space, Chenmo took out 2 church soldiers' automatic rifles and a whole box of bullets. Chenmo, who has space, has long been used to storing weapons. There are many pistols and swords used by the priest in his space. Chenmo simply took out 2 of them and stacked the precious weapons and ammunition in this wild place at the door of the wooden house. A guest star of Santa's, Chenmo once again launched the thruster under his feet and soared to the distance. People who have lived in the wilderness for many years are very alert. The men and women in the wooden house suddenly wake up when Chenmo breaks the air. The man quickly gets up and comes to the door, picks up the shotgun leaning on the door and listens to the renting carefully. When the woman saw her daughter asleep, she picked up a machete beside the bed and stood behind the door with her husband. They waited for a long time, but there was still no movement. They couldn't help but look at each other. They all had doubts in their eyes. In the past, some animals would make some noise when they came in through the fence, but this time there was no sound at all. Through the gap between the doors and windows, there was no trace of any animal. The man immediately stood in front of the door, took up the shotgun and pointed to the door. He winked at the woman, and the woman stood in the door in a soft voice, slowly opening a gap. With a shotgun in his hand, the man pointed the muzzle out of the door and was ready to pull the trigger. The woman slowly opened the door of the wooden house. At the next moment, she found that the man's face suddenly changed and her eyes suddenly widened. It seemed that she found something amazing. Woman quickly stood as like as 2 peas and looked at the door with a chopper. She saw the scene outside by the moonlight scattered by the sky. At the next moment, her expression became exactly the same as that of a man. After a while, the 2 returned to their senses and looked at each other with shock in their eyes. After confirming that there was no danger outside the house, the 2 walked out of the wooden house and looked at the weapons and ammunition piled up at the door of the wooden house. Their faces were excited and unbelievable. Chenmo, who is flying at high speed in the sky, has already left far away. The whole earth seems to have become a wilderness. There is no difference in the scenery after flying for a long time. Looking down from the sky, all the trees and grass covered by plants are covered in his sight. Like a plant planet, before long, a different place finally appears in front of him. Seen from a distance, there is no trace of any plants in the dark area. It seems that a deep abyss has opened a huge mouth that eats people in the wilderness, which is intimidating. Chen Murphy came to a close and stopped slowly. He stopped steadily in the middle of the sky and looked down at the huge hole below. This is a huge cone-shaped hole with a diameter of hundreds of meters wide. The whole hole is very regular. It seems that someone has dug it out on the ground, but I don't know how the tens of millions of tons of soil disappeared. Here is the giant crater left by the explosion of a nuclear bomb closest to Chenmo, discovered by Jarvis through satellite exploration. Its diameter is hundreds of meters. Let alone Chenmo flying in high altitude, even in space and Earth orbit, it can be seen by the naked eye. This is the terrorist power of the ultimate human weapons. According to Jarvis, there are thousands of similar bomb craters on the whole Earth. With Chenmo's current physical quality, plus the strong defense of Zhenjin Nano Battle Suit and Edelman Alloy Steel Battle Suit, general powerful weapons, even the power of missiles, Chenmo can resist, but the nuclear bomb can't. The explosion center is as high as 10 billion degrees, which is thousands of times higher than the core temperature of the sun. Even if the indestructible Edelman alloy cannot be melted, it can also turn Chenmo into fly ash, and the powerful shock wave and radiation can pose a fatal threat to Chenmo. Now the strength is still far from enough. Compared with ordinary people, Chenmo is very strong. However, in the face of nuclear weapons, all kinds of destructive weapons in movies, and those super powerful people with terrible strength, Chenmo is still too weak. In particular, his current strength is more dependent on powerful high-tech equipment, and his own strength is still very inadequate. If there were no shield, nano battle suit and steel battle suit, Chenmo would not be able to resist the covering shooting of a large number of bullets by his body alone. Although the physical quality is 8 times that of ordinary people, and the skin and muscles are more tenacious than ordinary people, but his body still does not have the strong defense ability to withstand bullet attack. The 8 times of ordinary people's cell activity only makes his recovery faster than ordinary people, but also does not reach the level of fearless injury. Being hit by a bullet can be as deadly. Chenmo only hopes that the next world can improve his own strength. After feeling the remains of the nuclear weapon explosion at a close distance, Chenmo has a sense of crisis. Chenmo chooses to return to the real world directly in the air. A flash of white light flashed, and Chenmo, dressed in black steel, reappeared in the underground laboratory when he left. Click. There was a sound of mechanical movement, and the front of the war suit spread quickly. Chenmo, wearing a black priest uniform similar to a collar suit, came out of it. No matter how long Chenmo has been in the movie world, the real world is only a moment in the past, so it's only more than half an hour since Chenmo left the cast. After Chenmo's successful shooting, he hurried back to prepare for crossing and drove away directly, leaving Enron and others to watch his back, driving away feeling speechless. Who let others be the boss? It's just so willful. Enron's group of younger students and younger sisters are gathering up the things of the drama group and discussing the shooting just now. Isn't this car too good? It's all around Jim, a skinny, tall white junior majoring in UAV shooting, filled the equipment box with shooting equipment and looked at the night SUV that was used for the first time shooting while he was parked. He couldn't help sighing. Bulletproof performance is comparable to that of military armored vehicles. Even Gatling and grenades can be blocked, and cross-country performance is even stronger than that of military cross-country vehicles. Even the speed is only a little lower than that of top-level super running cars, which is black technology. The more he said it, the more excited he was. He wished he could own one. Lisa, the white girl next to him, took a look at him. Make a fuss. Don't tell me you haven't seen the videos on the internet. That's right, but she didn't perform much better than the boy when she was shooting just now. Her face was flushed with excitement. This kind of on-the-spot experience of gun chase is more real and shocking than the 3DMAX in the cinema. Video? What video? Jim packed the box and locked it. He looked at Lisa doubtfully. Are you serious, Jim? Do you know about the attacks on the manor some time ago? Lisa looked at him incredulously, as if looking at an alien. Well, I have an impression. It seems that a rich man was attacked in his manor. He happened to drive a bulletproof car. He didn't have anything to do with himself. Instead, he drove his car and killed all the bandits who attacked him. Jim said to see the girl look at the idiot's face at him. First some inexplicable, feel confused, then he seems to suddenly think of what bulletproof car. Do you mean? You mean that millionaire drives this car? Jim thought he had found out the truth and hurriedly told his guess. Don't you usually play Twitter or surf the internet? Lisa looks defeated by you. Come on, but I play games, Jedi survival, especially fun. Do you want me to take you with you? When it comes to his favorite game, Jim can't help but become elated. Then he suddenly seems to think of something bad. His face is full of resentment. But I always meet the Rossonry recently. They are so hateful. Jim. Lisa's hands crossed her waist and her big eyes glared at Jim, but she felt helpless for him. What was going on in this idiot's mind all day long? Er. Jim just thought of the tragic memory of being trampled by a group of Chinese players in red coats in the game. He burst out full of indignation. He didn't remember that he was talking about night until Lisa interrupted his complaint with her coquettish drink. He couldn't help but look at the Black Knight who stopped outside the sunshade, tall and powerful, with dense bullet marks on the body and strong and fierce breath all over his body, his eyes shining again. Compared with the handsome knight, any game is not worth mentioning. If he can really own a knight, he will never touch the game again. The cross-country and gunfight in the game, how can he drive a car to cross mountains and resist the stimulation of Gatling? Seeing Jim falling into fantasy again, Lisa felt powerless and rolled her eyes. It's good to have rich imagination and divergent thinking when making movies, which is good for art creation. But it's also like this in normal times, which makes people feel like an idiot. She also didn't bother to explain to him again. She left a sentence to look for it on the internet, and then she turned around and went out with her things. The object of discussion is not only the main character of the advertisement Knight, but also Chen Mo, the master of the night. Chen Mo's tall and handsome self, needless to say, he is also a billionaire top young rich. In a short period of time, he has created a top-level automobile manufacturing company that can almost compete with several old automobile groups and become a business genius. In addition, the arrogant and domineering temperament and behavior of his body made a group of young girls obsessed with it, and Lisa couldn't help but join in the chattering together. How tall he is. He has a very good figure. Although he's wearing clothes, I'm sure his muscles are absolutely excellent. He is the most handsome of all the yellow people I have ever seen. Especially those eyes are so deep that I dare not look. Girls talk about Chen Mo as they talk about idols, and boys talk about Chen Mo, but they talk about something totally different from girls, but the atmosphere is more intense. Did you see the control he just had? Awesome. I guess that's the level of the top drivers. A billionaire, tall and handsome, and with such strong driving skills, can't let us ordinary people live. Yes, if you don't look at the women's eyes, you'll eat them. When several UCLA boys talked about it, several stunt drivers from Shendon Motor Company happened to pass by. Among them, a middle-aged man in his 50s who was surrounded by several others heard the conversation and couldn't help but walk over and say, "Boys, I want to correct a little bit. This rich man's car skill is better than that of the top racing driver." The middle-aged man is the same driver who used to drive a military SUV to chase Chen Mo in the wild. "Are you kidding, sir? Trick the devil. How could it be?" Several boys expressed their disbelief, but found that all the other drivers nodded their heads, obviously agreeing with the middle-aged. A few boys don't know their origins very well, but they are all in the racing circle, and they know each other's identities very well. Shendon Automobile Company is rich and powerful. In order to better show the performance of the vehicle and make better advertising effect, all the drivers are the top, and the middle-aged drivers driving military off-road vehicles are very famous. Carlos Sainz is a famous Spanish rally driver. He has the nickname Matador in the circle. Sainz is 56 years old, but now he is still free in the race. Before the start of his racing career, Carlos Sainz, who has been involved in a wide range of sports, played football and squash. At the age of 16, Sainz won the championship of Spanish squash. Since then, Sainz has been playing squash, football, and driving Ford Formula, which has not delayed his study of law. What he really does is to be versatile. He has won several awards, including the Spanish Rally, New Zealand Rally, Monte Carlo Rally, Thousand Lake Rally, Asia Pacific Rally, Silk Road Rally, World Rally, FIA Cross Country Rally World Cup, RAC Rally, and Dakar Rally. He won the World Rally Championship in 1990 and 1992, and won the second place in WRC World Rally Championship 4 times. Sainz is the record holder with the largest number of entries, the largest number of podiums, and the largest number of points in WRC history. He has also created the drivers who have won the most pit stops in WRC history, 26 at most. So far, the old man has participated in the 10th Dakar Rally, during which he won 29 stage titles. Old Sainz's own experience and driving skills are naturally quite strong. Su-wan just paid attention to this point and invited him here. Although other people's resumes are not as brilliant as the old man's, they are all top drivers with great strength. Naturally, from Sainz and their professional eyes, we can see how powerful Chen Mo's driving skills are. At least they ask themselves that they can never reach the level of Chen Mo. The original shooting plan was to let old Sainz drive the knight. However, although his strength was very strong, he still failed to fully show the strong performance of the knight. Enron had to ask Su-wan for help. However, Chen Mo easily completed the difficult tasks that they couldn't accomplish, including the quick reaction when Chen Mo first shot. Others thought that Chen Mo had psychological preparation in advance, so they made avoidance in advance. However, several drivers were more inclined to Chen Mo's reaction speed, which was far faster than that of ordinary people. The first shot was not well controlled, and the instinct was quick should. However, as drivers, they exclaimed that Chen Mo, a super rich man, is more amazing in his powerful car skills. The drivers are all car lovers, and the strong riders make them very excited. They wish they could own one. Unfortunately, the amazing price of riders is prohibitive. Even in the car racing industry Sainz, who won several championships, couldn't afford it. However, having experienced the knights in person, old Sainz had a preliminary idea in his mind. Seeing a few young people who didn't seem to believe what he said, old Sainz didn't say much, shrugged at them, said hello to the director Enron, and then left with several other drivers. The shooting has been completed and their task is over. The rest of post-production is not their business. On the other side, I listened to the people's comments safely, but I was a little disappointed. She admits that the boss of Shendan Automobile Company is really powerful, but he is not Chen Mo after all, so she doesn't have the heart to be praised by the audience and urges the people who are dawdling. Pack up quickly, let's go back to school as soon as possible and make the film tonight. Because the whole advertisement is a mirror in the end, no editing and full live shooting, no special effects are needed, post-production is not complicated, and it's done by staying up late at night. Seeing the director's words, a group of students brought out of school by Enron and their younger brothers and sisters had to obediently agree to speed up. There's not much left or right. When they packed their cars and set off for school, Chen Mo had already returned from the movie world. That night, Enron and several students in charge of post-production were busy in the computer room until midnight. Finally, they made the advertisement and waited for it to be submitted to the customer for review tomorrow. Just as several people yawned back to their dormitories, a dark shadow flashed out of the woods outside the Shendan Auto Company's fence and then flipped into it. At this time, there was no one in the company except a few security guards on duty. After looking around, the dark shadow dodged several cameras in the company and moved towards the office building not far away. He didn't know that all his actions were captured by cameras hidden in the dark, but these images were not displayed on the monitoring screen of the guard room, but were transmitted to a castle dozens of kilometers away through the network. Sir, someone has infiltrated the company illegally. Basement, he practiced some gun-fighting techniques from the world of the End of Tears. Chen, who was very satisfied with his gun technique promotion, had just collected 2 priests' special pistols and heard Jarvis's warning. As Jarvis's voice sounded, a hologram was projected from Chen Mo's left wrist watch, showing the hidden camera shot in front of Chen Mo. The diver, who thought no one had found him, had come downstairs to the office building, identified by a black tights and a 2-eyed mask. It's obvious that this is a spy. As for who sent him, at this time, it is obvious that the purpose of sneaking into the office building of Shendan Automobile Company is the company's technical data, and it is obvious that the behind-the-scenes reference is no more than an automobile group. Of course, this is Chen Mo's preliminary inference, but it should be 8 to 9. The door of the office building is locked, and there is a monitoring probe at the door, so the spy did not try to walk through the main door, but came to the side of the building, took out some portable equipment from the backpack behind, and quickly climbed upstairs. All of this was clearly photographed by the hidden camera and displayed in front of Chen Mo. As early as Chen Mo took over the company, on the surface, he didn't make too much adjustment and enhancement to the security, and the company's defense seemed to be as weak as before. In fact, Chen Mo installed a large number of hidden cameras and infrared scanning equipment inside and outside the company, which were controlled by Jarvis, and monitored the whole company in an all-round and blind way. Any unauthorized entry into the company people and things will be quickly discovered and reported to Chen Mo. When Chen Mo decided to launch Night, he already knew that those who were touched by him would never give up like this. There is no way to take him in the face of the sun, and some people will use some unusual means. Only now, it is much later than Chen Mo expected. Seeing the dark shadow climb to the 5th floor and stop, Chen Mo takes out a sucker from his backpack to break the window. He sneers in his heart. It's really for the research and development materials of Night. The 5th floor of the office building is where the R&D department is located. Seeing this, Chen Mo didn't plan to look any further. He went out of the basement directly and came to the garage on the 1st floor. When Chen Mo arrived, the heavy steel gate at the entrance of the garage had been opened half. Before the gate was fully opened, Chen Mo put out the steel iron war suit directly from the space and quickly finished dressing. He flew out of the open gate close to the ground after flying out of the castle. Chen Mo released the invisible device while flying towards the high altitude. When he flew out of the surrounding tall trees, sheltered and ascended to the high altitude, his figure was already hidden in the night. Although the engine-running sound of the steel battle suit itself is very small, the sound of breaking the air when flying at high speed is very loud. So although there is a stealth device made by Wakanda, you don't need to worry about it being seen. Chen Mo also rises to the sky and flies towards Shendun Motor Company. But when Chen Mo was flying out of the castle in a steel battle suit, Su Wan, who was sitting cross-legged on the bed with a notebook in his bedroom on the 3rd floor at the other end of the castle, was dealing with the rest of today's work, but was interrupted by the sudden whistling sound in the silent night. Su Wan has been very busy in this period. First of all, the company's internal adjustments, various rules and regulations, welfare benefits, organizational structure, and so on have been improved. After she finished these things, she began to be busy with the expansion of the company and the construction of the industrial park. At the beginning, Chen Mo asked Michael to buy a large area of tens of square kilometers around the company, and then started the plant expansion of Shendun Automobile Company. After Su Wan arrived, he not only took over the expansion task of the company, but also started the construction of the future industrial park. Fortunately, with the help of General Manager Michael and others, I can be busy. But every day when she comes back from work, she still has a lot of work to do. In addition, some affairs and life matters Chen Mo tells her to deal with. Su Wan is very busy every day. However, Su Wan has no complaints about this. Her previous work is not much easier than this. She has been used to it for a long time. In addition, she can feel Chen Mo's trust in him from the things Chen Mo explained, so she works with great enthusiasm. At this time, Su Wan was interrupted by the whistling sound, so she put the notebook aside, got off the bed in slippers, rubbed some sour white long neck, and came to the window facing the sea. Pushing open the window, a cool and humid sea breeze blew in from the window, which made Su Wan's spirit clear. The thin pajamas are pasted on her body under the wind of the sea, perfectly outlining her graceful figure, revealing a touch of delicate and greasy white with glittering luster on her chest, competing with the white moon in the sky. But the window here is facing the sea, but no one can see it. Now it's September. The weather is getting cool. The sea breeze at night is full of cool. After the initial cool, Su Wan soon feels a little cold. Seeing that there is no movement outside, Su Wan doesn't think much. She closes the window and goes back to bed again. She sets up her long white legs, puts the computer on it, and devotes herself to it again, work in progress. Chen Mo didn't know what was going on in the room. At this time, he was heading for the company from a high altitude. The distance of tens of kilometers is only a blink of an eye for the steel battle suit with the ultimate speed of more than Mach 6. Even if Chenmo did not break the sound barrier in controlling the speed, it took more than a minute to reach the company's sky. Through the image capture function of the helmet, Chenmo quickly found the spy who was still hanging outside the office building, carefully cutting the glass. After Jarvis took over all the company's cameras, Chenmo put away the stealth device, quickly lowered the height and fell behind the spy. The spy was not aware of the movement in the sky and was still fighting against the glass. At this time, he was constantly cursing in his heart. He didn't know whether the company had too much money to burn or too much free time to lay eggs. He even replaced all the windows with bulletproof glass. Fortunately, he was well prepared, so he didn't get stopped by a piece of glass in this area, but the bulletproof glass was solid after all, so it took him a lot of time to cut it. This is Chen Mo's idea, but it's not to prevent thieves. It's just by the way. Night itself will use bulletproof glass, and the bulletproof performance of the bulletproof glass purchased from outside can't satisfy Chen Mo. Anyway, Chen Mo has the ready-made bulletproof glass formula in his hand, so he simply produces it by himself. Although only a small workshop has been set up in the engine production workshop for small-scale production, the output of 10 nights per day is not much. So in addition to the products for nights, Chen Mo also replaced the glass of the castle with the same thickness as the ordinary toughened glass, but the bulletproof performance is equivalent to the bulletproof glass of several centimeters. Because the cost of his own production is not high, Chen Mo simply replaced all the glass in the office building of Shendun Motor Company. By the way, who would have thought that this seemingly ordinary office building, seemingly thin window glass, is actually solid bulletproof glass? Chen Mo controlled the steel battle suit to land down from the air quickly, and when it reached the top of the building, it gradually reduced the speed. Outside a window on the 5th floor, the spy in a black tights is focusing on cutting bulletproof glass with high-tech tools he carries with him. Because the sky is too dark to see clearly, he stares at his eyes and operates the tools. Suddenly, a white light slowly lights up behind him, illuminating the window in front of him. Through the reflection of the glass in front of him, he saw the source of the light and also witnessed an amazing scene. I saw a dark figure like the Iron Man in the movie, slowly falling down from the air. The thrusters of feet and palms of both hands were spraying white flames, stably suspended in the air behind him. Due to the small propeller sound of the war suit, especially when it is in low-power operation in the suspended state, the sound is even more thin and inaudible. The dark steel warsuit floats quietly behind him like a silent ghost, which makes his cold hair stand up all over his body. His heart is even more astonished, and his breathing becomes a little difficult. What the hell is this? Aliens. Before he could respond, Chen Mo had stretched out his arm and grabbed his neck, strangling his scream in his throat. He could not let his hands on his neck exert any force, nor could he let the steel arm that tightly held his neck relax. Then, Chen Mo's thruster at his feet increased its power, so he grabbed his neck and flew to the top of the building. Chen Mo loosed his arm a meter from the top of the building. The spy fell to the ground and didn't care about the pain of the fall. He just lay on the ground and covered his neck with a strong cough. He felt that his neck seemed to be pinched. Especially when he was flying just now, the strength of the whole body was on his neck, which seemed to be pulled at any time. Finally, gasping for breath, he remembered the amazing picture just seen from the reflection of the glass and the unknown existence holding his neck and flying up with him. Lying on the ground like this, he raised his head towards the front with fear and trepidation, only to see the dark steel ghost-like figure that was just faintly seen, slowly falling from the air to the ground in front of him, making a heavy sound, obviously not lightweight. As it completely landed on the ground, the white flame from the hands and feet disappeared, and the tall body, which could be seen faintly under the white light, disappeared in the night. There were only two bright and cold white lights in the eyes, like two groups of ghost eyes hanging in the air. Notice that the two white lights cast on his face, lying on the ground of the spy, cannot help but panic, which was only seen in the film before. The existence of science fiction suddenly appeared in front of him, It is a little beyond his ability to accept. You, who are you? There was a tremor in his voice. Chen Mo ignored his words, and the cold voice came out through the loudspeaker of the war clothes. Who sent you? When spies heard about this, they could not care about any professional ethics. Even if they gave the mastermind of the instigator to him, they also said the requirements of the other side. As Chen Mo thought, they stole the technical data and drawings of the night. Fengshen. Chen Mo whispered the name of the company behind the spy's attack. His voice was full of cold chill, and he added the other party to the blacklist. Since you jumped out of the way, let's start with you. Of course, in the real world, Chen Mo is a good citizen who abides by the law. Naturally, he will not directly kill his family and use force to solve the problem. Although Chen Mo, who owns the storage space of steel war clothes and mobile arsenal, has the power to wipe the other side out of the world completely, the commercial affairs should be solved by commercial means. What is the appearance of fighting and killing? In this way, Chen Mo looks at the spy who is still lying on the ground and dare not move. The spy sent by Fengshen Group felt Chen Mo's eyes and quickly smiled at him, although he was blocked by the mask on his face. If it is found by the guards, he is confident that with his own skills and weapons, it is not difficult to kill several guards and escape smoothly, or even get what the employer wants. But the presence in front of him at this time is so powerful and strange that he has no counter-attack power at all. Just now, he felt the whole process of being grabbed by the steel arm like a pair of pliers and flying up to the roof. During the process, he also tried to break the steel arm with his hands, but he could not shake it at all. In each other's hands, he is as weak as a chick. The hard touch of the previous contact and the heavy impact of the other side's landing on the roof just now told him that this was real steel armor, and the pistol on his waist did not pose any threat to the other side at all. Now he only hopes that the other party will let him go when he knows the information he wants. In his expectant eyes, the steel body dissolving in the dark in the opposite side suddenly sounded a low mechanical running sound. Then, a beautiful blue light point converged in the air in front of him and became more and more dazzling. In a twinkling of an eye, it converged into a magnificent blue light beam flying towards him. It was only a blink of an eye from the appearance of the blue light spot to the shooting of the light beam. Before he could make any response, he lost consciousness in the brilliant blue light. The energy pistol in his hand was put into the space. Chen Mo watched the spy in front of him, who turned all the people and things into flying ashes and disappeared on the ground. He started the propeller at his feet and quickly lifted off to return to the castle. Although Chen Mo doesn't want to kill too much in the real world, it doesn't mean that he will be tied up when he does things. Since the spy wants to sneak into the R&D department to steal the technical data of Night, he has stood on the opposite side of Chen Mo in addition. He saw the existence of steel battle clothes, so Chen Mo can't let him leave alive. However, the energy weapon is a good tool to destroy the corpse. It saves him the trouble of putting the corpse into the space and looking for a chance to deal with it. When he goes down, there is no trace, no scream, no blood, very harmonious. It is also in line with Chen Mo's principles in the real world. However, Chen Mo said that after handling the spy, he flew home and went asleep. From him, he started back, only a few minutes before and after. Su Wan, who had just entered the working state, was interrupted again by the sudden roar. Puzzling, Su Wan thought about it and decided to check it. When she got out of the door and went to the stairway, she found that Chen was coming up from downstairs. "Boss," Su Wan hurriedly said hello. Chen Mo naturally found Su Wan long ago. Looking up, she found that she was only wearing a thin pajama. Most of her long white straight legs were exposed outside and her chest was propped up by two groups. "Why don't you sleep?" Chen Mo doesn't have any other thoughts. With his strength of willpower and mental power, he won't be aroused by such stimulation. He can't help it. At the beginning, in the Iron Man world, the Black Widow Natasha Romanov's body was more popular, and after knowing Chen Mo's identity of being dominated by 9 snakes, he could be said to take whatever he wants. But Chen Mo doesn't have no need at all in this respect, but the desire caused by this hormone can't influence his behavior and judgment. Compared with pure flesh and body communication, What he hopes is the natural water emulsion and integration with the people he loves after the natural situation, which is the dual integration and communication of soul and body, rather than the simple vent driven by desire. So at this time, looking at Su-won who can arouse countless men's desires in front of him, Chen-mo's heart is calm. Su-won didn't find out what was wrong with her. Hearing the boss's question, she told her about the strange roar she had heard twice. Chen-mo didn't feel surprised when he heard the words. Since Su-won was allowed to live in the castle, it was a kind of recognition for her. After experiencing the test on the desert island and now coming to run far away, Chen-mo is very relieved about her loyalty and doesn't worry about her betrayal. So these things don't hide from her, but since she didn't see them, Chen-mo won't deliberately tell her about the war clothes, just casually explained a few words. I went out just now. It's nothing to make a fuss about. Go back to bed early. After that, Su-won nodded his head with a tired look on his face. Thinking of Su-won sleeping late, he asked again. Don't work too late. If you can't help yourself, you can ask for help. Good boss, I'll go back to my room first. Su-won said that she saw Chen-mo nodding and then turned back to the room. When she closed the door and was about to walk to the bed, she turned around and looked at the mirror standing by the door. Then she realized that she had forgotten to change clothes and went out wearing pajamas. Thinking of Su-won's face here, there was a red glow, and the pink ear bead was also stained with a faint red. However, looking back on Chen's reaction, it seems that he didn't find anything wrong, which is a relief. It's good not to leave a bad impression on the boss. After getting along with her in that period of time on the island, Su-won also knows a little about Chen-mo's character. In that environment, if Chen-mo had some thoughts in that aspect, they couldn't escape from his palm, but Chen-mo didn't have any crooked heart and didn't take advantage of them. If he misunderstood that he intended to expose himself, he would offend him. Put down the worry in her heart, Su-won sat back in bed again, just about to pick up the computer and continue to work, but in her mind she thought of Chen-mo's last order. Forget it. Let's do it tomorrow. Su-wonjang is about to close her notebook, but she remembers Chen-mo's last words. She's really too busy now. She doesn't care. She's afraid of delaying the company's business. It's a good idea for the boss to ask for more help, but she has to find some trustworthy ones. Thinking of this, Su-won stopped the action in his hand, picked up the notebook and put it on his leg, opened the communication software and looked at it. Chen-mo, who went back to the room, felt Su-won's room and found that she was still working. She shook her head helplessly. Su-won, a girl who is loyal and reliable, has strong ability and good looks, has been relaxed since she came here. He didn't worry about everything in life. He managed everything in order. He only needed to point out the direction in work. Su-won can do it well. Even if she works too hard, her body can't bear it. Do you want to inject super soldier serum into her? Say it again. In the afternoon, I just came back from the movie world. In the evening, I met a spy sneaking into the company. I haven't had a good rest yet. Go to sleep. Chen-mo sleeps when he touches the bed. He still sleeps soundly. In the movie world, he has to be vigilant. Even if he sleeps too deep, he can't sleep comfortably at home. Chen-mo is sleeping soundly after handling the spy. On the other side, in a small conference room in the headquarters of Winfield Group in Tokyo, Japan, thousands of miles away, several short middle-aged people are waiting anxiously. Yanshin, hasn't there been any news? There were only 3 people in the conference room. The middle-aged man sitting on the top of the room looked at his watch and asked angrily. This middle-aged man with golden eyes and humble appearance is the leader of Fengshan Group, who is widely recommended by Fengshan. The man he asked glanced at the mobile phone on the table without any movement and frowned. Although it's only 4:00 p.m. here, it should be past midnight in Los Angeles. According to the previous news, the other side should have been successful at this time. However, in the face of the questions from Fengshan Guangji, Yanshin Yingnan still had to explain. President, there may be something delayed. For the most core technical materials like this, the other party will keep them tightly. It will take a while to get them. Mr. Winfield nodded in agreement with Mr. Wen. Their core technical data protection and security are very strict. it's impossible for spies to steal them. Although this Shendan automobile company is just a rising small company, its strength in all aspects is far from their comparison. But the most important core technical data will certainly be carefully preserved. Even the top spies want to get the affirmation is not so easy. Thinking of the powerful performance of the knight that they sent to buy from the United States, Mr. Feng Tian was excited. As long as he got the technology from the other side and used it in his own car, then with their strength in the world, Mr. Feng Tian Group will be able to quickly seize the whole automobile market and become the real overlord of the automobile industry. Think of here, Feng Tian Guangji looked at another person in the conference room. How are the R&D departments preparing for Tsukumoto? A standard Mediterranean hairstyle, short, thin, middle-aged people. Wind Field Group R&D Department Minister Zhang Ben Erlang quickly replied, President, you can rest assured that the equipment and personnel are ready. As long as the data are in place, with the technical strength of our Fengshan Group, it will soon be able to digest it and apply it to the research and development of new models. At that time, our Fengshan Group will sweep the whole automobile market and create unprecedented brilliance. Very good. I nodded my head with satisfaction. Now nearly 60 years old, Mr. Feng Tian felt that his ambition was kindled in his heart again. What his parents failed to accomplish will be realized by him. Looking forward to the beautiful scene of Fengshan Group dominating the world, Fengshan Guangji has a strong disdain for Chen Mo. Such a good technology in his hands is just a monster. With such advanced technology, we can only produce one car and sell only 10 cars in limited quantity every day. Mr. Feng Tian is very disdainful to the top luxury cars that are sold in limited quantity. What's the use of your car's high selling price and low sales volume? Rolls-Royce has only sold more than 4,000 cars a year, with an annual turnover of more than $1 billion. Lamborghini is almost the same. Ferrari has to sell more than 8,000 cars a year, with a turnover of more than $3 billion. But when we compare with Fengshan, there is a big gap. Although the price of each car is not high, only tens of thousands of dollars, the sales volume of Fengshan car is much more than those of these luxury car brands that can be easily limited and customized. The annual sales volume of each model in the world can reach tens of millions, with a total annual sales volume of more than 5 million, and an annual turnover of more than $200 billion, which is dozens of these top luxury car brands hundreds of times. Although the price of Night is higher than those of the top luxury cars, according to the sales volume of 10 Shendan cars every day, the annual sales volume is less than 20 billion, and there is still a gap of more than 10 times with them. Mingaming controls the world's top automotive technology, but doesn't know how to use it. It's really a pearl. Let's Fengshan Group carry it forward for you. Although the previous products of Fengshan Group also cover the whole low, medium, and high-end market, they have not achieved much in the field of luxury vehicles and have never been able to occupy a place. This time, using the technology of Shendan Automobile Company, they will develop a top-level luxury car belonging to Fengshan Group. However, they will not engage in any tricks of limited quantity and ordering. They will open up the supply like other models so long as customers want, they can buy it at any time, and they won't make the price so outrageous. Only 5 million cars can be bought by many people in the world, even if each of them can buy one. Know that the higher the price, the less the sales, and vice versa. Fengshan takes the pure commercialization route. It aims to pursue the maximum profit. They will set a price that most of the rich can afford based on the cost and under the premise of ensuring sufficient profit. As long as the quantity is up, it's not easy to make money, and the cost can be constantly reduced by some means. Thinking that the Night technology will usher in the rapid development of Fengshan Group, which will establish the dominant position in the automobile industry at one stroke. Compared with that at this time, it is nothing to wait a little longer, so Fengshan Guangji will no longer be in a hurry, and continue to wait patiently for the news from the United States. But 7 or 8 hours later, until 12:00 in the morning, Los Angeles was already dawn, and Shendon Automobile Company was about to start work, but there was still no news. This time, Yanda Yingnan, who had been waiting for a long time, grabbed the desk without any moving mobile phone and dialed it actively. "I have made a phone call to the relevant personnel of the United States." Yada first yelled, then began to ask about the progress of the espionage, and the answer on the opposite side was to change his face. Waiting for him to hang up the phone, the opposite Feng Tian Guanji couldn't wait to ask, "How are you?" Lost failed. Yanshin Yingnan, some dispirited, put down the mobile phone, face lost, and stammered, "What?" Feng Tian stands up and stares at Yan Tian Yingnan angrily. "What's the matter?" "Our spies infiltrated the Shendon Motor Company very early last night, but until this morning the other company started working. They still didn't return and no news came," Yanshin Yingnan said, looking at the wind of his eyes, and Tian Guanji's face was gradually red. "Moreover, according to the observation of our peripheral personnel, Shendon Motor Company did not have any abnormality after going to work. It seems that it was not invaded or lost any documents." "You mean that the spies we sent didn't finish the task, stole the information, and disappeared without reason?" Mr. Winfield stared at the eyes that were red because of staying up late or being angry, and said fiercely to Yingnan Yanshin, "Yes, yes." Mr. Winfield only felt that his whole body was full of blood, and his eyes were black. He was just looking forward to being the knight technology and dominating the automobile industry. Now his full expectation has brought such a result, which is hard for him to accept. The huge psychological gap made the heart of Winfield feel uncomfortable. All of a sudden, he felt a pain in his heart and his eyes were black, so he fainted. His body, which had stood up because of anger, fell back. Fortunately, the seat was stable enough so he didn't fall to the ground. "President, President, somebody call an ambulance. Come on, there should be medicine on the president." Full of the thought that this time, he was in the hospital because of the failure of the spies' action. However, the action against Shendon Automobile Company did not stop. As he was lying on the hospital bed breathing oxygen, he still did not give up his desire for night, technology, and his ambition to dominate the automobile industry. So Yanshin Yingnan was strictly ordered to use it. What means? "We must get the technical data of night." Yanshin Yingnan led back to the company and made an in-depth investigation of the night. First, he confirmed that their spies didn't escape after they got the technical data. Shendon Motor Company has not been invaded and lost the important core technical data. It is completely as calm as before, neither calling the police nor strengthening the security force. And he unleashed all his power and never found the spy again. Yada speculated that their spy might have been killed. In the end, a new discovery confirmed his conjecture. According to the report of intelligence personnel from the United States, Shendon Motor Company changed one of the glass on the 5th floor of the office building that day. The 5th floor of the office building is the floor where their target R&D department is located. What they observed was that there were only incomplete cut marks on the replaced glass. That is to say, the spy they sent was killed even before the building entered, and even the body could not be found. Yanshin admits that he despises Shendon Motor Company, or the silence behind it. Unexpectedly, behind the seemingly lax security, there is still a more rigorous defense force. Yada Yingnan can basically conclude that the spy has been dealt with. Yanshin Yingnan would like to take advantage of the fact that the spy was killed to fight against each other, but the spy was secretly acting, and there is no evidence that he disappeared at Shendon Motor Company. Unless they come forward and admit that they hired him to enter Shendon and steal technical data. Let's not say that this will bring serious consequences to Winfield Group. Since the other party has the power to hide in the dark and does not hesitate to kill the spy, rather than give it to the police, it must have been properly handled, and it is impossible to leave any handle for them to catch. So this time they can only admit defeat, but it's not over yet. They can't give up on it. For the advanced technology of night, their Fengshan group will surely get it. The president of Fengshan Guangji has ordered that the technical information of Night must be obtained at all costs. A new plan for Shendun Automobile Company is brewing in the dark again. Chen Mo didn't know that Feng Tianguangji, who was behind the espionage last night, had a heart attack and was admitted to the hospital because of him. He was also obsessed with the Night technology. To be honest, although Winfield Group has a large scale and occupies the top position among the top 10 automobile industry groups in the world, it has not been seen by Chen Mo. Not to mention that Chen Mo has the power to level the nuclear world and bomb the Japanese nation. Even if he doesn't use force, he is better than them in terms of technology and financial resources. Although the annual turnover of Fengshan Group is more than 200 billion yuan, in fact, the profit is less than 1/10, only more than 10 billion yuan. However, Chen Mo's Shendun Automobile Company, the actual cost is less than 1%, and the turnover is more than 20 billion yuan, and the profit is more than 20 billion yuan. This is only the current data. When the automatic production line is completed, the number will be doubled many times. At that time, Fengshan Group will have to look up. However, in terms of company size and influence, Shendun Motor Company still has many shortcomings, which is what Chen Mo is doing now. The expansion of the company and the construction of the industrial park, including the ongoing advertising, are all aimed at expanding the company's scale and enhancing the company's brand influence. But Shendun is a new company after all. It's not enough to rely on these alone. We have to think of other ways. While eating the breakfast prepared by Su Wan, he thought of ways to improve the company's brand influence and popularity. The most important thing is to show the company's strength and enhance public recognition. After breakfast, Chen Mo also came up with some eyebrows and put the tableware in the dishwasher. Chen Mo put on his coat and went to the garage, driving the bullet-riddled Knight to the company. Not to mention how many eyes and exclamations the Knight just came down from the battlefield attracted, Chen Mo drove all the way and quickly turned off the #1 highway and opened the asphalt road that can connect the company's gate. In the middle of the car, Chen Mo's eyes suddenly turned to a forest tens of meters away from the road. Chen Mo can feel that someone is hiding in it and watching Shendun Automobile Company not far away. However, Chen Mo did not stop at all. He drove directly through the gate and entered the company in the salute of the security personnel at the gate. It's obvious that the other side is here for the spy who disappeared last night. They want to probe the company's reaction today and try to find out the spy's whereabouts. As for this unimportant little role, Chen Morgan didn't care. After entering the office, he first ordered Su Wan, who had already arrived, to replace the glass on the 5th floor, and then handed Su Wan the car key of the mobile phone. "Send my car to be repaired." Then Chen Mo thought of another Knight whose shell had been damaged. In addition, the Knight used for shooting is put first after it is repaired. I can use it. "All right, boss." Su Wan agreed with the key. Because Chen Mo seldom goes to the company at ordinary times, if he doesn't give special instructions, Su Wan always drives to the company on time. Today, he also made a temporary decision and didn't inform Su Wan in advance. When Su Wan drove to work in the morning, he found that Chen Mo's car was full of bullet marks. Originally, she wanted to help him drive it back to the company for repair, but because the key was not in her hand and Chen Mo had not yet got up, she did not care about it for the time being. She planned to wait until she came back in the evening and then drive it back to the company the next day with Chen Mo. Unexpectedly, Chen Mo drove it by himself. She also has something to report to him. "Boss, the advertisement was finished last night. Have a look." Su Wan opens the tablet in her hand, clicks on the video file and hands it to Chen Mo. This advertisement lasted for 3 minutes. Chen Mo carefully read the whole advertisement and nodded with satisfaction. "Not bad. With it, the publicity program can be officially implemented." "Yes, boss." Su Wan put away the tablet and promised. "The preliminary preparation has been completed and the advertisement will go online tonight." Well, Chen Mo is always satisfied with Su Wan's work efficiency. He can't help but ask when he thinks that Su-won is still busy late into the night after he often returns to the castle. What I said last night is to find someone to help you share your work and finish it as soon as possible. Some unimportant things will be handed over to the following people. I don't want you to be tired, but I have to deal with it myself. Hearing the concern in Chen Mo's words, Su-won smiled and said softly, "Boss, I contacted my classmate when I was studying in Stanford last night. Anna, she would like to come and help me." Su-won is also a school bully. The university is a famous university studying in the United States, Stanford University, studying business administration and law. Anna was her roommate in college. The relationship between them was very good. Contrary to Su-won, her major was law, but her minor was business administration. After graduation, Su-won returned to Huaxia and became an assistant to the chairman of Zhengheng Group with her own outstanding ability. Anna still stayed in the United States. She also successfully joined a well-known law firm with her own excellent ability and became an intern lawyer. She worked in the business department of the law firm and was mainly responsible for company affairs, investment, M&A, equity and intellectual property rights and other related fields. Although they haven't seen each other for several years, they often chat on the communication software when they are free. They know each other's situation very well. In the United States, the status and income of lawyers are not low. Anna now has an annual salary of $150,000, but she is not satisfied with her current situation. Although she has worked in that law firm for several years, she is still a new employee in the field of lawyers. Many well-known lawyers in the law firm press on her, which makes her have little chance to take charge of a project alone. Anna is young, capable, energetic, and has performed well in the law firm. In other people's opinion, she has developed well now. In the next few years, it's only a matter of time before she becomes a partner of the law firm. But Anna doesn't think so. Just because she is young, she doesn't want her youth to be consumed in the orderly work. So she mentioned to Su-won that she had plans to quit her job and seek new development. So when Chen Mo mentioned asking for help last night, the first person Su-won thought of was Anna. I have lived together for 4 years, and I know each other well. Anna's ability is absolutely top-notch among her peers, and her personality can be trusted. Moreover, her current work field is also business. She will start soon, and she can be said to be the best candidate at present. Su-won is full of confidence in Shendun's potential and future development. She believes that Anna's development in Shendun is better than that in any law firm or other company, which company can reach tens of billions of revenue from near bankruptcy in just 1 month, and the future development prospect is more predictable. So Su-won contacted Anna last night and explained the situation to her. Anna is not familiar with Shendun Automobile Company, but when Su-won talks about night, off-road vehicle, she has heard about it. After listening to Su-won about the legendary rise of Shendun Automobile Company and its current development situation, as well as its huge development prospect in the future, Anna is also very excited. At first, she didn't plan to leave the lawyer industry, but Su-won's invitation made her see a new possibility. After some deliberation, Anna agreed to Su-won's invitation and was willing to try. Chen Mo listens to Su-won's general description of Anna and has some basic understanding of her. It shouldn't be a problem to share Su-won's work. Moreover, some of her work experience in the law firm is just helpful to some of Chen Mo's later plans. Most of all, Su-won's vision of Chen Mo is very convincing. I've sent her details to your email. Have a look. If you can, I'll ask her to come for an interview as soon as possible. Anna will assist Su-won in her work as Chen Mo's administrative assistant if she formally joins Shendun Automobile Company, so the final interview also needs Chen Mo to conduct in person. Chen Mo nodded and motioned for a meeting. Su-won took the tablet computer and Chen Mo's car key and walked out of Chen Mo's office. When the office door was closed, Chen Mo did not turn on the computer to check the mail but called Jarvis. "Jarvis, look into this, Anna." "Yes, sir." After Jarvis took the command, he first obtained Anna's identity information through Suwon's email and then began to search all information about her on the internet, including all her messages and chat records on social networks, even her anonymous statements on some forum websites. Compared with Jarvis's investigation, which involves no details and no secrets, the so-called human flesh is really weak. According to the information collected on the internet, Jarvis quickly compiled a detailed information, including a personality analysis report. Chen Mo is not interested in other people's privacy, so things like 3 in circles are skipped directly, looking directly at ability assessment and character analysis. It's worthy of Su Wan's recommendation. In terms of ability, Jarvis has given an excellent rating. Her performance in the business cases she participated in before is also remarkable. Anna is a typical strong woman character. She works hard, wants to be strong, handles affairs decisively, is vigorous, and has strong decision-making ability. However, the previous working environment has greatly restricted her performance. After confirming that Anna had no previous bad record and performance, Chen Mo picked up the phone on her desk and called Su Wan. "No more interviews. Let her quit and come to work." Chen Mo said this, and then he hung up the phone directly. Su Wan was holding the phone for a while and didn't know what to say. It should be said that Chen Mo is willful or trusting her too much. After a look at the information, even the interview doesn't have to be accepted. Although I feel a little playful since the boss has spoken, she is not good to say more. Anyway, she is very confident about her classmate and will not let Chen Mo down. After handling these things, Chen Mo turned on the computer, but it didn't work for Jarvis. He checked things on the internet. Jarvis is quick to deal with those things that have clear goals and requirements and are very complex, but some of them are simple, messy, and the things with thinking leaping are still faster and more convenient to find by using search engine. Chen Mo's desk phone rang suddenly when he looked up his thoughts. Let go of the mouse. Chen Mo picks up the receiver. Su Wan's gentle voice comes from inside. "Boss, Mr. Carlos Sainz, the famous rally driver who took part in the advertisement yesterday, wants to see you. He said that he wants to talk with you about the idea of Knight and Company publicity." Carlos Sainz. Chen Mo didn't know the name before today, but just when he looked up the data, he saw the name. In a moment's memory, Carlos Sainz's data appeared in Chen Mo's mind. There was a smile on Chen Mo's face. It was really sleepy. Someone gave the pillow. If there was no accident, Carlos Sainz should think the same as Chen Mo. Let him in. "All right, boss." After hanging up the phone for a while, the door of the office was knocked gently. With Chen Mo's permission, Su Wan opened the door and led a big middle-aged man to come in. "Boss, this is Mr. Carlos Sainz. He drove the military off-road vehicle that I chased with you in the wilderness yesterday." Chen Mo recalled the performance of the military off-road vehicle when he filmed the advertisement that day. It was really very good for the physical quality of the ordinary people who had not been strengthened. It can also be regarded as the top rank among all drivers. After introducing the middle-aged man to Chen Mo, Su Wan said to Carlos Sainz with a smile, "This is Black Chen, president of Shendun Motor Company." Carlos Sainz looked at the desk and slowly stood up, a tall, imposing young man. It was the cool and arrogant young man who left a deep impression on him in the advertising shooting yesterday.